Oh boy, folks. Well, I'm expecting this to be one of the most painful lives I have conducted as of yet in the history of this channel. Game 2, our beloved New Jersey Devils looking to claw back and tie the series up in Carolina for game 2. And it wasn't meant to be. The New Jersey Devils lose an absolute painful one, falling by a final score of 3-1. And this one was gutting, guys. I am at a very low point right now. There's so much to get into from this game. But wow. Win or lose, we booze, right, guys? I mean, at least we have that. Cheers to all of you. I'm going back to the high noons. I've been sipping on these for since mid-game. Win or lose, we will always booze, but wow, guys. This one sucked. It really was a painful one. Obviously, a much closer game than game 1, but in the end, a loss is a loss, whether you lose by a foot, lose by a mile, whatever the hell that saying is. This one sucked, and the New Jersey Devils are now in a very bad way. Down 0-2 in the series to the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm just in a little state of disbelief right now. They had so many chances to get back in it. The dooming is at an all-time high, obviously. I'll be showing some of these dooming comments eventually when I get to it. But we get to the game, and despite going into battle tonight without Luke Hughes and Brendan Dillon, I was still hoping Jacob-Markstrom would be able to be the difference and lead this New Jersey Devils club to a victory. And another solid outing for Markey, but unfortunately not enough. But this game was a tease. We start off, the Devils come out flying. We're out shooting the Hurricanes by a pretty good margin early on. And at 3:51, Bratter gets his first of the postseason, following up a haul shot, follows up the rebound, and tucks it in at 3:51, giving the Devils the 1-0 lead. And at that point, I was obviously jacked. I've talked about time and time again, even going back to the regular season, how crucial that first goal is for this Devils team. And just for most teams in general, especially in the playoffs, having a 1-0 lead is obviously much more desirable than chasing. Devils get the first goal, only goal of the first period, and they end after one with the 1-0 lead. Shots in the first, Devils 9, Hurricanes with 6. And I had something to believe in after the first period, and I think many of you did as well. A much better period for the Devils. Going into the locker room with the lead, you love to see it. The Canes did get 2 power plays in the first period. I thought both of them were somewhat questionable calls. I'm not going to try to be one of these people to shit on officiating constantly, but in the end, this is playoff hockey, and there was tons of things not called, before and after that, where it's like, how are you deciding what to call here? It is super annoying, but it is what it is. The Devils killed off both of those penalties in the first. We head to the second, and it didn't take long. Another one of those sustained shifts where it looks like the Hurricanes are on a power play at even strength in our D zone forever. Guys are chasing. We can't get it clear. Markey makes an initial great save. I think I forget if the initial save was on Gostisbehere, it was somebody else, but makes a great save. And then the rebound, he kind of poked it out, and Gostisbehere's there, and he buries it at 2:57, ties the game at 1. And then after that, I felt that, we're obviously in trouble now. When it was 1-0, I was texting with Steve the Maniac and some of my other Devils fan friends, and I was like, I'm not going to feel good until we get the next one. I really wanted that 2-0 lead, obviously being super greedy, but on the road up 1-0 never felt, super comfortable. Obviously, it feels better than being down or a tie game. But, you let teams like this hang around for too long, and eventually they're going to make you pay. The man they call Ghost ties it up at 2:57. And then a few minutes later, Devils get a power play looking to regain the lead. And your worst nightmare happens. Canes go the other way, and Martinuk just rips a nice one, beats Markey clean for the shorthanded goal at 5:54 and gives the Canes the 2-1 lead. And that was atrocious. Oh, and I forgot before the shorthanded goal, obviously, how could I forget? I'm just all over the place and I'm down, guys. Bear with me. We had the close call right after they scored the first goal. They almost took the 2-1 lead when Pesce swept the one under Markey on the goal line. They had a review. It was very quick. Never looked like it went in, but super close to going down 2-1 before we actually went down 2-1. I got shout out to Brett Pesce. What a monster. I'll get to Pesce in a little bit. Absolute beast for the Devils tonight, but Devils almost go down 2-1 nearly immediately after the Hurricanes tied it up at 1. Then they eventually get the shorty, which obviously was the backbreaker of the game. And Martinook just beats Markey clean with a nice shot. That's how the second period would end. And the second period shot totals were Devils 9, Carolina with 12. So through 2 periods, all tied up in the shots department at 18. And we head to the third down a goal, looking, period of the season, obviously, looking to mount a comeback, try to get back in the series. Devils had tons of chances. Timo, I feel like, could have had a hat trick alone. And for all the people hating on Timo, I mean, just bring it somewhere else, man. Like, just super unfortunate. There was Bastion had a crazy one. I mean, the Devils just had tons of quality chances. And once again, another reoccurring theme from the regular season where this Devils club makes mediocre goaltenders, and no offense to Freddie Anderson, he's a pretty mediocre goaltender. We make these guys look like Dominic Hasek in his prime. I mean, I didn't see the advanced stats or anything for like how many grade A's we had or whatever, but in the third period alone, we had to have at least a few. And Anderson was there just saving everything. Devils couldn't buy a goal. And they eventually pull the goalie late. And in a super anticlimactic finish, Carolina scores immediately on the empty net. Didn't even get to generate some excitement towards the end. And that's all she wrote. Jarvis puts it on the empty net for the third goal with 37 seconds left. Canes win the game 3-1. And this sucks. This absolutely sucks. Heartbreaking loss, honestly. Devils obviously played a much better game than game 1, but in the end, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. It just, the only thing you hold on to is that, if they play like this in the next game, we have a chance. But now you're looking at 2 must win. I mean, I'm going to call the next 2 at home, obviously, they're pretty much must wins to tie up the series, because even a split there, you're done. You're going back to Carolina for game 5 down 3-1. It's all over. You're not winning that game 5. Those people are going to be going ballistic, and the Canes are going to close out the series because that's what good teams do. Let me reload, make sure there's no changes in the game stats here. We go to the game stats. Devils 26 shots on goal, Hurricanes at 28. I mean, a respectable shot total for the Devils, and they held the Hurricanes to a respectable amount. A far cry from the 46 or whatever it was we saw in the first game. Very close. 26 Devils, 28 Hurricanes. Face-offs very close. Devils 50.9%. Canes 49.1%. And the special teams, once again, is where the Devils, I could point to that as the factor that lost this game. Devils, in the pregame, I said I hope the Devils get at least 3 power play chances and convert on one of them. They did get the 3 power play chances. They converted on none, going 0 for 3 on the power play. Canes also 0 for 3 on the power play. But of note, in the special teams battle here, the Devils gave up a shorthanded goal on a power play. That is a horrific, horrific special teams loss. Giving up a shorty in a game like this is inexcusable. It's disgusting. I feel dirty. And the team needs to do better, but here we are. Unbelievable stuff on special teams. Devils 51 hits, bringing the pain again. They're hitting for sure. 51 hits and only 31 for the Hurricanes. But again, what good are hits if they're going to come in these brutal losses where the hits don't directly translate into some sort of opportunity? I did think the Devils did better getting it on the forecheck and kind of, creating some chances at different points throughout the game, but not enough, and they couldn't beat Anderson clean. But yeah, 51 hits to 31. Devils with a major advantage there. Devils 9 block shots, Hurricanes with 14 block shots. Devils 15 giveaways, the Canes also with 15 giveaways. Devils 8 takeaways, the Canes 3 takeaways. And that is all she wrote. Devils go down by a score of 3-1 and are now staring down the barrel of an 0-2 series deficit. Gonna have to play much better at the Rock, but I will say overall, I thought a very good game for Jacob Markstrom. Again, without him, I think we could have lost this game by a few goals. Would have been nice if he could have came up with a save on that shorty, but it's a tough one. Martinook was cooking, and it is what it is. Markey made a ton of saves that a lot of other goalies wouldn't, and so I can't kill the guy. He had a great game. For those blaming Markey, I think you're completely delusional. And I thought I thought, Nemitz was scary at some points, but in the end, he didn't do anything super costly where you're like, oh my God. But as expected, his ice time was protected a little bit. Nemitz played 14 minutes, 12 seconds with 19 shifts. And then Cholowski was the most covered by Keefe, 13 shifts for 9 minutes and 12 seconds. Kovacevic with a couple big hits today. You guys know I'm a big Johnny Kovacevic fan. I love that guy. He was laying the wood. 7 hits. I think that led the team. Let me just double check. Yeah, 7 hits from Johnny Kovacevic. You'd love to see it. Markey makes 25 saves on 27 shots. Brett Pesce. Let's talk about Brett Pesce. Probably my player of the game for the Devils. 27 shifts for 23-14, which was third for defensemen, but the other guys who had more ice time was marginal. Pesce played 23 minutes, 14 seconds. Dumoulin played 23 minutes, 48 seconds, and Hamilton played 23:59. So they're all basically right there between 23 and 24 minutes. You knew that was going to happen in this game without Luke, without Dylan. They stepped up. Brett Pesce made not one, but 2 amazing saves, on the goal line, sweeping pucks out, playing monster minutes, blocking shots. I mean, Brett Pesce was that veteran that we wanted when we signed him, and he was a real difference maker today. And had we won the game, he would have had, even with the loss, he had a huge impact on the game. It would have been much nicer if it happened en route to a win. But Brett Pesce, monster game, and that's why we paid him and brought him here in free agency. But overall, let me see anything else interesting in the Timo with 5 shots, 2 hits, and a takeaway. Nate Bastian with a shot, 2 blocks, 5 hits. Nico with 3 hits. I mean, everyone's throwing the body. Glass with 3 hits. Nason only with 1. He's been pretty quiet. I thought Dowling looked okay. Someone pointed that out. He was kind of flying around today. I mean, pretty admirable in his role in the 13 minutes of ice time he got. Paulie Cotter, 2 shots, 4 hits. Hall with 6 hits. Love to see it. Bratter, 3 shots. Not much else. Obviously scored the only New Jersey Devils goal. But here the reality is, guys, the offense has been struggling for a long time, and it continues to struggle. You could say whatever you want. In the end, scoring 1 single goal per game is not going to generate wins for you in this league. It is not. 1 goal a game is god-awful. In the playoffs, 1 goal is not getting it done. The offense, 2025, I mean, the signs were there, guys. I just remained hopeful. I obviously am a huge fan. I love this team. Will always cheer for them. But the troubling signs were there in January. I hit the panic button in January, and our big deadline acquisitions were Glass and Sprong, and that's it. This offense has just been anemic, and it's been thus far in the series 1 goal a game. You're talking about needing your goaltender to pitch a literal shutout. You need a literal shutout from your goalie to win a game. I mean, you're not going to win games. Period. Score at least 2. I mean, shit, 2's not enough either, but at least it's more than 1. It's double 1. 1 goal a game is not getting you anywhere other than the golf course in about a week or so. I'm disgusted. I'm pissed off. It was a much better game, like I said, but in the end, a loss is a loss in 1 goal. I mean, wow. Freddie Anderson just looking like we got a super riot and respect. Thank you, sir. The October-December Devils deserve this chance. This counterfeit version did not. I'll root for them always, but man, it feels like always the same story with the BS that happens to this team. Thank you for the super riot and respect. I totally agree. We built a nice cushion, and that's literally the only reason this team made it into the playoffs. Obviously not deserving. They built a nice cushion. The Metropolitan Division sucks. Cheers to all of you. Appreciate you all coming out. We're going to get to some of these comments momentarily, but I'm just kind of venting for a minute. But cheers to all you guys. Win or lose, we booze. And it's painful. It's super painful. We waited 2 years for this, and it's like, here we are, just another year of just pain and suffering. But yeah, this is a counterfeit version of the team, obviously, with the injuries. It's a lot. It sucks. And we saw a reoccurring theme of what we saw from the regular season, not being able to score. And that's it. We're now in a massive hole and need to find a way. But thanks to the super riot and respect, much appreciated. And we go to Prezify. Thank you for the super. Can't believe Timo whiffed on that wide open net. I've been a Timo supporter for the longest time, but that simply cannot happen. It's the playoffs. Yeah, Super unfortunate. And one of my other buddies texted me and said, Timo has to be the most snake bitten devil of all time or something like that. And it's true. He went through a large stretch of the regular season where a lot of you guys were killing him, where he was getting tons of chances, but just not able to bury anything. And he had a few of them today. That one puck that bounced at the end. Yeah, I think he had a couple more pretty good ones before that. There was one maybe on the power play where he kind of bobbled the pass. He may have had two on the same power play where, he was camped out on the right side. They get the pass across, but it wasn't like a smooth pass. It was kind of, skipping around a little bit, and he couldn't cleanly get it to rip it on net. But I thought Timo, in an alternate universe, could have potentially had a hat trick, but he didn't, right? That's it. It's the story of this team all year long. Almost coulda, woulda, shoulda. And here we are, guys. This group is going to have a lot of soul searching to do. Now have 2 full days off, tomorrow and Thursday, before back at the Rock Friday. I'll be there. I'll be jacked up. I'll be cheering like many of you will be, and hoping for the best. But this team has a tall order in front of them. Got to go out there and win these next 2 games on home ice if you are going to have any chance whatsoever of making this a series. But it's just tough. It's just tough. Close game tonight, but couldn't come out victors. But thank you, Prezify. Appreciated. The New York nobody, I just farted. Okay. Well, thank you for the super and that update on your gastrointestinal situation. All right, now I'm trying to see. All right, I'm trying to get to some of these comments here. Obviously, as we all know, a lot of people are super chatty during painful losses like this. And there's a lot of dooming. I'm going to try to keep it mostly positive. But wow, I mean, there's a lot of justified negativity. I just don't like the dooming. And there is a difference for, I've talked about this before, but when everybody sucks and everything sucks and this guy, that becomes dooming. When you're talking about specific things based in reality and not just like emotional, just venting, very different between dooming and, justified criticism. And there's tons of justified criticism overall for this team, stemming back to the regular season. And a lot of the things are just rearing its ugly head all over again. Again, inconsistent offense, getting pinned in the D zone and just letting shifts continue. I mean, that Gostisbehere one really killed me because they were just in the zone forever and we couldn't get a clear, just chasing around, puck watching, and it ends up in the back of the net. And Markey made a crazy save on the first shot too. Painful stuff. Ryan and Respect, thank you, sir. They need guys that can hit the net in the offseason. My God, the amount of shots that were missed wide were insane. Yeah, it's all part of playoff nerves, the jitters. Stakes are high. The game moves a little bit quicker. People, guys maybe gripping their sticks a little bit more. But in the end, you just need to convert on your chances. And then listen, we had plenty of chances tonight. There was no shortage of chances. They just couldn't finish them. Again, a story we've seen all season long. How many goalies that, again, mediocre goalies, average goalies, how many of them did we make out to look like superstars because we're shooting directly into the pads or just by blind luck, pucks are hitting them, maybe not elevating them off the ice enough, whatever it is. We've made average goaltenders look superhuman all season long. Tonight was another night of it. And really, it's just unfortunate. We are outmanned in the series. Doesn't mean we can't win the series or games, but this roster is flawed and, it's hard to overachieve constantly when the reality is what it is. I'm just gutted because this game was there for the taking, and going back to New Jersey all tied up at 1 would have been absolutely beautiful. But it wasn't in the cards for this group tonight. Amagi, thank you, sir. 4th line should fart in Fred's face to contribute. You guys are funny. Freddie Anderson, guys, future first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, wow. Devils really made him look solid tonight. Solid. Going back and watching the saves, it's going to be devastating to see. All right, I'm trying to find a good spot to jump into these comments here. Appreciate you guys all for coming out on a painful evening like this. I guess this one's interesting. I'll start here. Lone Wolf Star NMJ. I'm a longtime Devil fan. I saw them win 3 championships, but I really can't. I really think that you can't win a championship with soft and fragile players. Well, Lone Star, I completely agree with you. We did take a step in the heavier, edgier, more violent direction this past offseason when Fitzy went out there and acquired Kovacevic and Paulie Cotter and Stefan Nason. But the reality is, prior to their arrivals, I do think this team was so charm and soft that even with those guys being brought in, the overall, level of the team is still too soft, in my opinion. And I really was hoping that that wouldn't be the case. But the reality is there was basically no toughness to speak of prior to their arrival. And you saw it tonight. I mean, Johnny Kovacevic was out there laying the wood, couple big hits, led the team in hits, big body guy. I love Johnny Kovacevic. I'm glad we got him signed up long-term. I've advocated for that move, stemming back to probably October. I think I said something along the lines of I've never fallen in love with a player so quickly as I did with Johnny, because I feel like he was one of those types of guys that we were missing, a big body defenseman who could play with an edge. Obviously, Brendan Dillon was another one we brought in the offseason. But in the end, I have to agree, Lone Wolf, we do have some toughness, but not nearly enough, and I do think we need more. Now, again, on the category of toughness, it can't just be any sort of toughness. I would like to see some higher-end skill players that could finish, can put the puck in the net, that have the physical aspect to their game as well. But, man, it's we're so far removed from those 3 championships. Obviously, I've seen them all too. There's remnants of all of it behind me. And what a run it was. The glory year New Jersey Devils, rest in peace. We're so far removed. But I agree, Lone Wolf, and hopefully they acquire some of these types of players in the near future this offseason so that next year we could hopefully make another run at this thing. But my God, guys, I'm not ready for the ride to be over. We've only been in the playoffs for less than a week, and we're already halfway to the golf course. It really sucks. We waited 2 years for this. And the offseason is going to be insanely long once again if they don't pull a miracle out here. You're talking about, oh, yeah, we'll see you guys in, opening nights in 5 months from now in October. I mean, I'm going to throw up. I'm really going to throw up. But thank you for your comment there. Turco, thank you, my man Brian. Let's all thank Ace for having this forum available before and after every game. Well, it's not before every game. It's after every game, before some. Where else can you go to either celebrate or be talked off a ledge? Thank you, Ace. We all love you. Appreciate that, Brian. I don't know what I could say tonight to talk anyone off the proverbial ledge. Other than, the team played a much better game and it was close. If we see this version of the Devils again at home and Freddie Anderson doesn't stand on his head, there is a chance that somehow we could make this a competitive series. But obviously now game 3 is everything now. You come home in New Jersey, somehow manage to win a game 3. That makes game 4 very, very interesting. And who knows, maybe the Canes do feel the pressure a little bit. But in the end, we need to see a repeat performance in game 3 that we saw tonight with a little sprinkle of some finishing ability, because tonight the finishing ability was not there. And as a result, with all the chances they had that were squandered, we're now going home in the 0-2 hole. Had we been able to bury a couple of those, we easily could have won this game 3-2 in regulation, in my opinion. But that was not the case. We're in the hole, and now we're going to see what this team is really made of. Stefan Nason was furious at the end, yelling, cursing, whatever was going on the bench. But thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's a rough one, and I didn't even get to the Doomer comments yet. Unknown Pleasures, thank you for the super. How about Anderson first let's see. How about Anderson first back-to-back game? They're going to stick either him. He's not that great. Should have given by the first goal. I'm not exactly sure. How about Anderson first back-to-back game? They're going to stick. I mean, he has a goals against average of 1 right now, and he played pretty damn good tonight, made a ton of really good saves, some of them by luck, some of them by skill. But either way, I don't see the Canes deviating from Anderson. A question mark going into the series. So far, if I'm a Canes fan, I'm ecstatic with the performance of Freddie Anderson. He's held the Devils to 1 goal a game in 2 games. I mean, what more do you want from Freddie Anderson? Thank you for the super. Appreciate it. Ryan, in respect, thank you for the super. Screw it, another one. I appreciate that. Oh, man, it's one of those nights. Cheers to all you guys. Cheers to you, Ryan, in respect. Cheers to the rest of you regulars. Cheers to you newcomers. What a painful night. And I can only hope that we see a slightly better version of this Devils team in the next game. I mean, listen, it was a competitive game, but, I'm over the silver linings and the moral victories. Your boy Ace is not about that. In the end, we lost the game. Is it, somewhat better to lose? I mean, in my opinion, it's more painful to lose a close game like this, but the overall outlook is slightly more positive because we weren't steamrolled like we were in game one. But losing a game like this, to me, hurt more than game one because of how close it was, how it was right there, how it slipped away. And then obviously the biggest factor, now we are in an 0-2 hole instead of 0-1. But thank you, Ryan, and respect. Ritter Engine, thank you. Cheers to you. Sure, thank you. Shots on me. I appreciate that, Ritter. Appreciate you for coming out tonight. What a season it's been, guys. And I don't want it to come to an end, but the sad reality is we are awfully damn close. We're 2 losses away from an off season, and man, it is going to be depressing. Your boy Ace is going to be in a dark place. Ryan, and respect again. Thank you. If I have to oh man, hey, this is true. If I have to listen to Bryce sugarcoat another game, I legitimately will be dangling myself from a ledge. I get it, Riot. I get aggravated too. Sometimes I have to turn it off. He literally will find multiple silver linings and multiple moral victories after the most devastating, crushing, soul-crushing of games. And it's all kind of a spin campaign, and I get it's all part of his job. But sometimes I'm like, Bryce, let it ease up, my man. Like, I want to break shit right now. And you're sitting here talking like if you didn't know the final score, you would have thought we won the game based on some of the stuff Bryce says. I love Bryce, but it's like sometimes it's a little too much. He really wears the red-colored Devil's glasses 24/7. Painful sometimes. I totally feel you with that. All right, now let me see what we can find here. Where I'm going to start in the comments. It's 9:42. All right. Tons of dooming. I mean, for those of you keeping an eye on the chat, this is obviously near record levels of dooming as expected. I mean, I knew coming into it, and I started off by saying this is going to be one of the most painful lives ever. And obviously it is. And I will show some of those comments. Let me just try to get kind of caught up timestamp wise, because, this is, the chat is just scrolling with negativity. And it was flowing all game long. Tasha, what's going on? Dumo and Pesci played phenomenal. Too bad they were the only ones tonight. Oh, and Dowling was actually pretty good. Agree. Dumoulin had a bunch of really nice kind of one-on-one plays throughout the game. There was the one, I think it was I forget if it was Jarvis or somebody. He was kind of chasing from behind and kind of reached over and got a stick in there without getting called for a penalty. Then he had another one where he kind of sealed somebody off one-on-one and negated a chance. And I agree. I mean, Dumoulin, listen, for whatever people wanted to say about the acquisition, I was a little puzzled by the price as well. I mean, with these injuries tonight, he really showed up and played a big role. But again, a role and a loss. Rich Reynolds, Pesci is doing everything but score. He's a machine. Yeah, shout out to Pesci. Big minutes, saved 2 goals easily, blocking shots. I mean, there's nothing. Brett Pesci is the consummate pro, a veteran's veteran, and you need guys like him to go on deep runs. The problem is we don't have enough firepower up front, and tonight it showed clearly. NJ Devil's blood. Fitz needs to go, but that's once the postseason is over. I would have listen. I hate to keep clubbing this guy over the head because it's just been nothing but negativity from me regarding him since the offseason, which I praised over and over again. I thought the offseason was great. In the end, the in-season moves are non-existent, and here we are once again, kind of bringing a knife to a gunfight. But I will tell you, if you do believe that if you believe there's any chance of him being gone after the postseason, I hate to break your heart, but I will tell you right now, there is 0 chance that Fitz is fired this summer. He will be back next year, like it or not, and it is what it is. Chico, 2 numbers matter with timomeier, 53 points and $8.8 million. Here we go. He's not been good enough, not nearly good enough. About done with the Meier experiment in New Jersey. I mean, if you look at this team and you look at the game tonight, and yeah, did Timo have some chances he didn't convert? Sure. But if you're going to point the finger at Timo Meier, I've fought this battle all season long. I'm not going to continue to do it. The reality is he is a valuable player to this team. And if you don't believe so, then, I don't know what to tell you. But would I like some more production out of him? Absolutely. But in the end, you're referring to 53 points. He was played on his off wing for, I don't know, call it 75% of the season and not on power play 1. I mean, we've talked about this over and over and over. I should make a recording of it and just play it when it comes up. All right, looking in the chat here. Oh, the headbutt not called, completely insane. Steve the Maniac is fired up about that. NJ Fanatic, but I'm sure if the shoe was on the other foot, you'd want that shit called. In the book, a headbutt is intent to injure. Yeah, pretty crazy how it was just pretty much crazy how it was completely ignored. They gave some nonsensical explanation of it. It was pretty crazy. Oh, look at this. Sherry, thank you very much. A very big super. Very much appreciated, Sherry. Thank you, Ace, for me and my son Shoots for keeping our spirits high. You're always so positive, and you definitely have an impact on my mindset. Let's go Devils. Very much appreciated, Sherry. Thank you very much. Cheers to you and Shoots. I don't know how positive. I mean, I try to be positive overall. But the reality is, after games like tonight, sometimes, even my positivity has its limits. I try to be fair. I mean, that's my biggest thing. I try not to be, too positive or negative. I really try to be fair and give my real kind of opinion. But, tonight was one of those nights where it's just a real gut punch. The game was right there for the taking, and the series to be tied up at 1 going back to New Jersey would have been everything. But it was not in the cards for tonight. The team falters, and here we are. So I very much appreciate it, Sherry. Thank you very much. Hopefully this team finds a way to respond big time in game 3 because we're almost out of, hope now. We only have 2 more. We only have 1 more game we could afford to lose. After you lose the second, it's golf for the boys. Thank you very much, Sherry. Now I'm scanning back here. We got some Canes fans in here. Chris, what's going on? This is a respectable Ranger fan. Ace, I saw the game and I feel for you, man. I was thinking of you the whole time. They came so close to tying so many times. And if you're a fan, that certainly was just a roller coaster of emotions. Oh, for sure. So many close chances, Chris. But in the end, none of them got buried. We made another mediocre goaltender look phenomenal. And that's the story of this Devil season. And it was the story of tonight. The New York Nobody, maybe Timo will get a natural Hattie in game 6 to eliminate the Canes. Oh, boy. Devils winning 4 in a row would be insane. All right, I've fallen way behind on the timestamps here, so I'm going to try to catch up. Appreciate you all participating. There's just a ton of comments. I'm going to try to warp speed ahead to more common, more recent times, rather. Oh, there's a lot of Canes fans in here. Wow. Oh, there's Brian hating on Timo again. I mean, Brian, you're one of the most negative people there is. My God, you must be super fun at parties. Super fun. Yeah, hey, we scored 1 goal. Come on, man. Just such negativity. Such negativity. There's so many comments in here. Yeah, losing really brings out the fire in people, huh? I mean, wow. Tons of negativity here. I'm just scrolling through pages. Sherry, these refs, though, yeah, I talked about the refs earlier. I hate to complain about refs all the time, but it certainly seemed like those first 2 calls against the Devils in the first period, easily could have not been called. This is playoff hockey. And then obviously the egregious, ignoring the headbutt, which is crazy. I can't imagine the Devils doing some shit like that and getting away with it. I just can't see it under any circumstances. But here we are, right? No, the New Jersey Devils are no friends of the officials. NJ Devils blood. Everyone settle down. Things will be fine. These guys are professionals. I mean, we're down 2-0, my man. It's time to really be worried. I was worried going into the series, but now it's like, I don't want my season to end. Do you? I don't. And we're looking, it could be right around the corner. Devil Heaven, Ace is killing it. Golf claps for our boy Ace. I appreciate that. Thank you. Stanley says, Canes fans questioning the officiating in tonight's game. Get real. Enjoy the rest of the series. Your annual flogging to anyone other than the Islanders and Devils will commence shortly. I will say I don't think that it's a foregone conclusion. I think a lot of people think the Caps would just kill the Canes. I definitely don't think so. We'll find out. I'll certainly be rooting for the Caps and Ovechkin if that comes to fruition. I'm a big Ovechkin guy, and obviously the Canes have ruined our lives for years. But I don't know that, this Canes team might be on to the Eastern Conference Finals. NJ Fanatic. Officiating once again is absolutely horrendous. NJ Devils blood. Stay positive, Devils fans. Playoffs not over. No, it's not, but it very well may be soon. I would love to see this team push it to a 6 or 7 and hopefully still win the series. I'm gonna root for the team and hope for the best, even if they go down 0-3. But at some point you have to sit back and realize that we did get thoroughly smashed in game 1, and we couldn't get goals when we desperately needed them tonight to tie the series. And so here we are, down 0-2. It's going to take a lot. To beat the Canes 4 out of 5 is going to take a whole lot. I will continue to be hopeful that somehow it could happen, but, there's not a lot that I would point to that would suggest that it could happen. It can. I'm not saying it's likely, but as someone else pointed out in the chat earlier, if there was ever a time to get that elusive 4 in a row, the 4-game winning streak, right now would be a great time. Devils in 6, baby. My Devils in 6 pick is still alive. They got this. They got the Canes right where they want them. Oh, guys. Trevor says, time to win all of our home games, then play a game 7 where anything can happen. If only it were that easy. A game 7, huh? A game 7 down in Raleigh. Oh, boy. I don't even know. I would be vomiting during the whole game. It's been a while. Well, I mean, it hasn't been that long, I guess. On the road. What was our last road game 7? Yeah, wow. Our last road game 7 would have been in 2012. The first round against the Panthers. What a series that was. When Henrique scored, and I believe, was it overtime or double overtime in game 7 on the road? What a fun. I remember watching that game in my old apartment vividly. Shout out to little Ant who was there for that. I remember that for sure. We were like tackling each other. What a game. But yeah, the Devils haven't played a road game 7 in 13 years. Would love to see it. Well, really, I still want Devils in 6, but if it comes down to a game 7, I won't complain. Been a long time since a road game 7. Obviously, the Devils beat the Rangers in a beautiful home game 7 all of 2 years ago. Mark says, Fitz really screwed up this team with his signings and trades. I mean, I would say my kind of complaints or whatever you want to call it is more for the things that did not happen. And for the things that did not happen, I would say moves of substance at the deadline or bringing in Gritsuk. I mean, does anyone think, it would have been nice to have a guy like Gritsuk tonight? I certainly think so. For a team that can't score, we're now averaging 1 goal per game in the first 2 games of the playoffs. Anyone who could help whatsoever offensively is more than welcome, in my opinion. Nicole, consistently inconsistent. We need to get pucks in the net. Well, Nicole, you consistently got 1 goal per game for the first 2. Hopefully, we get more in the next one. I mean, it's just natural canopy. What's going on? Raise hell and NJ. Lance, 2 goals in 2 games. Shut out 9 times this year. Who's surprised? None of these things are wrong. Bonzo said the gang that couldn't shoot straight. Casey's Scouts. I don't know about that one. What is Devil Heaven 77 Ace, favorite comedian of all time? Oh boy. Dire Straits. I miss when the team was respectable. So do I. 2 years ago they were. We're not that far removed, but wow. It does feel like a lifetime ago. Mike, disappointing but expected. Just don't get swept. Is that the bar now? This is part of the loser mentality to me. Just don't get swept. I still want to win the series. I understand the odds are super against us. Actually, I'll be curious to know right now. I'm curious. Let's see. What are the Devils' odds to win the series now that they're down 2-0? I don't think I'm logged into my thing, so I'll have to look that up later. Holmes says Palat on the first line is a disaster. Boo's face has got to go. I mean, again, for the people pointing at Keefe, like this sort of makes sense if you're Sheldon Keefe. I could totally understand why he did it, right? If you don't have the pieces to really come up with some balanced line combinations and you have holes in your roster, you're going to see things like Palat on the first line. We saw it for a large majority of the regular season. I will say I do think it is an indictment on Fitz, obviously, but you got to hope for the best. We're hoping to see playoff Palat. He hasn't shown up yet. Maybe we'll see him at home in game 3, but either way, the forward group is underwhelming. Completely underwhelming, and they're going to need some new blood in the offseason. Obviously, Gritsuk is going to be one of them in the lineup for next season. Maybe we get a couple guys in free agency. I'm thinking they'll try to re-sign Glass, but some of these guys are going to have to be moved on from, and we're going to have to find some guys to fill spots in the bottom 6. BC says the Devils are a bunch of losers led by a shit GM and owners who only care about ticket sales and merch. That's about as plain as I could make it. I think there's some validity to that statement. Unfortunately, it is what it is. The thing I will constantly point to is the not spending the LTIR money 2 years in a row. I think that is very damning. And a lot of people in the past have told me that I was a conspiracy theorist and this, that, and the other thing, and that the owners really care about winning. But in the end, for me, there's one simple way to gauge that, and it's, do you put your money where your mouth is? Most GMs in the league, if you have an ownership group that really supports winning, you're going to spend that money, and you're definitely going to spend the money. Devils didn't for 2 years in a row. So, it's hard to kind of get past that. But I think it's a fair point, BC. Chico says can't get the puck into the net, can't grit the puck into the net. No, but did the grit that we got was Nason and Cotter? Like, are you going to blame this team's struggles that we got Nason and Cotter? I can't say that that's legitimate whatsoever, Chico. Is that? Tell me what you're trying to say. I'm not in the mood to interpret and read between the lines. Natural Canopy, anyone surprised at Chalowski being surprisingly solid tonight? Yeah, only played about 9.5 minutes, but didn't stick out in a bad way either. I thought between him and Nemitz, that was as good of a performance as you're going to get from two guys replacing Luke Hughes and Brendan Dillon. I mean, what more could you have wanted? They weren't the reason we lost the game, and that is a victory in itself. Don't lose the game because of your substitution, or not substitutions, but your, injury fill-ins. And we didn't. We just lost because our offense is absolutely tragic. NJ Fanatic, great place to vent. Natural Canopy, love you, Ace. Bro, I emailed you back, and you didn't email me back. Or no? Oh no, it was you. I thought it was off them. I emailed you back. You didn't email me back. You left me hanging, bro. What's up? Ritter Engine, thanks, Ace. I'm sure my comments tick you off, but it's still a great forum. No, I don't let it bother me too much anymore, man. It's just, it's just a lot. It's just, I want the team to win so badly. And it's just, when a playoff finally comes, we missed last year and we finally get there this year and we're just getting stomped. The thing that hurts the most is that, I still think even with the injuries, like, okay, in a game like tonight, close game, despite the final score with the empty net, like, does anyone believe that if we had gotten a more impact forward at the deadline, that couldn't have been the difference tonight? Does anyone really believe that? Any sort of impact forward could have potentially, I'm not saying concrete, but any sort of impact forward brought in at the deadline could have made the difference tonight in a very tight game, in a game where we only could score one goal yet again. Could another forward have made a difference? The answer is absolutely yes. And that is why I was furious on deadline day and continued to be furious about it after the fact, because one move like that at the deadline could move the needle and be the difference in a game like tonight. And that's the difference between a potential tied series at 1-1 or going down 0-2. And that's why I'm just so aggravated about it and will continue to be. David Chimes, thank you for the super. If game 7, I booze well before we win or lose. Oh, man, if there's a game 7, I don't even know. My nerves would be completely just on another level. Nicole, yes, we need players who can stay in one piece throughout the season. We need to be able to take hits and dish out some big ones. I will say the one thing that is a little disturbing to me, and I guess this is more of a trend in the current NHL, and I hate to keep kind of shitting on the current NHL versus the old NHL, but the reality is, for those that are newer fans, the old NHL was definitely better. Period. Is the newer NHL, more skill and finesse? Absolutely. But in the end, the old NHL was a game of gladiators, straight up gladiators. Let me see the timestamp here. And they hit every single game. Now it is proven to me the Devils put up over 50 hits in the past 2 games, right? So the switch of heavier, edgier, more violent, that switch does exist. The switch of heavier, edgier, more violent is a real thing, and it's been proven to me now, right? We saw heavier, edgier, more violent earlier on in the season. It went away for a while, and then once the playoffs started, they were able to flip that switch and be heavier, edgier, more violent, 50-plus hits in the first 2 games. The switch that they can't flip is the winning switch, right? That's much harder to do than just playing a physical game. But that switch is there. I don't know why they didn't come out with the heavier, edgier, more violent switch in some of the games in February and March when our playoff spot was a little more murky, despite the reports of the 90%, the 92%. And they said, every day it was a new percent. And then this team lost. And then it was 99% for the last week or so. I am a little disappointed that we did not see at least the heavier, edgier, more violent switch flipped earlier on in the regular season. And if we had, there is a chance that maybe we could have had home ice advantage over the Canes in this playoff round, and maybe that would have made a difference. Maybe it wouldn't. It's a whole lot of maybes, but that switch does exist, and I'm a little bothered by the fact that they didn't, go to that physical game after the 4 Nations break. Brian J., thank you for the super. I'm actually a lot of fun at parties. When we don't score in multiple games, I look to highly paid offensive players, and Timo's letting us down, as is Mercer. If he's not going to score, then who is? Palat, Tatar, Halla? Come on, bro. What? So, thank you for the super, Brian. But are you so easily pleased that you're just completely excusing Nico and Bratter because they both have a goal each? Is that fair? So 1 goal, they're in your good graces. If there's no goals, they're getting all the scrutiny. I'm just trying to understand, Brian. It's not like they're lighting it up. Yes, they have 1 goal each, which is 1 goal more than Timo. But the reality is the entire team as a whole has 2 whopping goals in 120 minutes of play. It's completely unacceptable. Yes, do I want to see Timo score more? Absolutely. Do I want the bottom 6 guys to contribute once in a blue moon? Absolutely. But this offense has been just stale for so long. And we saw it in the series thus far. It's just completely painful. I lost my spot again. The New York nobody giving us deserved kind of pain here. And the fellas are going home to polish their golf clubs tonight. They're going to be on the greens with the Rangers enjoying the weather in no time. I hope not, but it's a very real possibility, obviously. We are 2 losses away from joining those Broadway blue skirts on the golf course. I don't want my season to end, obviously. We wait all year for this. There's nothing like playoff hockey. The New Jersey Devils are my biggest passion and hobby. There's no other sports that I remotely care about like hockey really at all. And we're all very emotionally invested, or at least most of us, in this team. And when it plays out this way in the playoffs, something you've now waited 2 years for because we missed last year, it really stings. And it's a long, long road before you get back. A long, long road before you get back. Ryan and Respect, another super. Thank you, sir. Remember when some of y'all said it was okay? They won 1 of their last 5 games as if they were going to turn Super Saiyan for these playoffs. I will say on that point, Riot, I obviously was furious about it. I don't agree with that, approach whatsoever. But the reality is, a lot of teams, when you look at it, this is the new league now, man. I don't like it either, but this is the shit that teams are doing. resting guys constantly, not trying, going through the motions, trying to avoid injury. It's going to become more and more commonplace, especially with this nonsensical playoff format that the NHL has right now, where there's going to be determined playoff matchups for a while before the season ends, where nothing can change. And so you're going to see more of this. But a lot of teams, including the Hurricanes, I think the Hurricanes were like 1-8 going into the playoffs. But guess what? They turned that shit on when it mattered, and they came out, they punched us in the mouth in game one. Sliding into the playoffs, be damned. They showed up. They were a playoff team, and they took it to us. The Devils obviously weren't as good as them during the regular season, and I did have my doubts as to whether they would effectively be able to just turn it on, just turn it on out of nowhere and be this playoff juggernaut. Obviously, has not been the case thus far, scoring a whopping 1 goal per game in the first 2. But I don't like the approach at all, obviously. I would prefer for them to, maybe not play everybody, but not just to go into complete shutdown mode, because I do think it is hard to just be like, okay, now it's the playoffs. Now we're going to really try. And especially for a team that has been challenged offensively for most of the season, it's just you're seeing kind of a continuation of it, and it's unfortunate. It really is. Ritter Engine says, fire, bro. Are you referring to Fitz? Devil Heaven, honestly, we have to keep building this team based on speed. We are moving forward, unlike Pens, Caps, etc. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I really start to question, how much are we really moving forward? Like, okay, we had the franchise record 2 years ago, beat the Rangers in the first round. Last year, we missed the playoffs entirely. And let's just say we lose in the first round this year. What progress has been made in the past 2 seasons? I would say it was just different, varying levels of steps backwards. So, I would say after the 22-23 season, missing the playoffs last year to me is 3 steps backwards. Making the playoffs this season is 1 step forward. So, in my opinion, if we lose in this first round, I'm saying we are currently 2 steps behind where we were in the 22-23 season. I don't feel any sort of progress or forward momentum whatsoever. Now, I may be in the minority, but I don't think I am. I think a lot of you feel the same way. What really has improved overall since that 22-23 season? Nicole Lee, thanks, Ace, for maintaining all of our sanity. That's how I know some of you people are really nuts. If I'm here to maintain your sanity, a lot of you guys should probably be in padded rooms, but we'll all go to the padded room together. Trevor, Nemitz looked good. The moment wasn't too big for him. Yeah, glad to see Nemitz kind of stand up in a big situation. And I'm assuming he'll, if the other guys aren't ready to go, he may be in game 3 as well. He very well may be in game 3. Turco, thank you, sir. Toronto and Ottawa tied 5 minutes left. Let me just pull up some out-of-town scores. After a loss like this, I zone out. Oh, man, I hope that gets to overtime. I'll have to put that on. There's so many comments here. I'm trying to wade through them. Rico, it looked like Van might have to forfeit draft picks to us. Is that a real thing? I forgot to even look in that. I've been in the kind of in the devil's hole all day. Is there really talks of him getting punished for that? No. The NHL, the article I'm looking at right now is the NHL is not pursuing tampering charges against the Canucks. Torathan, the crazy thing is that this is a rebuild year for Carolina. They are just that well coached. Yeah, and they have smart, crafty veterans who have been there before. We have a lot of young guys that, haven't been there. And it's unfortunate that they are our kryptonite. They beat us the last 4 series that we played them going back to 2002. And it's looking like they're going to make it 5. Trevor says Bryce isn't allowed to talk the way he'd like to. Then he'd be out of a job. I don't know. I mean, do you have to be that optimistic? He's an MSG employee. You can't really give any sort of digs to the team you're covering. I mean, the constant sugarcoating and silver linings and everything's unicorns and rainbows, it does get tiring. And I know a lot of people get furious with it. Noel says break stuff, Limp Bizkit maybe. Oh man, it's just one of those days. What a classic song from Limp Bizkit. One of our resident chatters here. I don't know if Walt is here, but he told a funny story a while ago how he almost fought Fred Durst at a little rock show. Stanley says, "Go away, Will. What are you doing here? Seriously, you don't have another platform to discuss your poverty franchise." I hate the term poverty franchise because I associate it with Ranger fans talking smack to the Devils. That whole poverty franchise thing, I think, is crazy. Brett Burns, the head butter. The head butter. Devin G says Markey, Pesci, an A, Dowling, Dumo, a B, Covey, a C for the hits. Everyone else sub C. I could live with that. I might bump Kovacevic's grade up a little bit because of the hits. Ritter Ender says Burns needs to get wrecked by Mac. Mac's not coming in, guys. New York, nobody is. It's Brett Pesci. Is Brett Pesci related to Joe Pesci? No. You spelled Brett Pesci's name right. P-E-S-C-E. Joe Pesci is P-E-S-C-I. Dire Straits says, worst GM, Boozeface or Drury? I'm going to have to go Boozeface because Drury brought in JT Miller in hopes of shaking some things up with his team. It wasn't enough to get them to the playoffs, but that's at least the GM trying to make meaningful moves to shake his team up. Boozeface hands down. Antonio, they left it all out there, in my opinion. Love the actual skating, the shots, and the forechecking. No conversions. Go next. How I got here, Jeremy Proper. Fitzy was handcuffed by management on the LTIR money. Wasn't given the red light. I guess you probably mean wasn't given the green light. Probably true, but at some point, it's probably true. And I've talked about this before, that obviously the owners probably dictate that stuff. But at some point, if you're Fitz, you have to fight back and be like, listen, if you're really trying to win whatsoever, we have to spend at least some of this money. Maybe not all of it, but at least some of it. Like, sitting on that for 2 years in a row is not really a good look. And I think it sends a message to players that are paying attention. DA says, I want to thank Kovacevic and Markey for showing up tonight. Brad and Nico, not bad. Everyone else can go F off. Samuel says, Timo is one of the few with an edge. I agree. He's a menace. He's a bull up front. But people now are just, especially after a game like tonight, they're looking at the score sheet and they want the goals. And I totally get it. But he brings a lot more. But people just want the points and the goals now. That's all that matters. And so that's what they're going to harp on. I will never abandon Timomeier. And I'll always defend. Chico says, Timomeier demanded to be the highest paid forward on the team. That means you figure it out. It means you figure out the offside scoring. It means you figure out power play too. Chico, this is crazy talk. And did he ever demand to be the highest paid forward on the team? Like, did he literally say that? All right. We fell behind here on the timestamps. So there's just a lot of infighting. Will lives in a trailer park smoking menthol cigs. Yeah, Natural Cammy, thanks. Hit the like, boy. Hit the like for our boy Ace. I appreciate that. Hit the thumbs up. I always forget about that. You guys usually pretty good. Oh boy. Here we go. And there he is, guys. Woodson, right on cue. So glad we didn't tank to gain this experience. Oh boy, Woodson. Mark, Ace's team made the playoffs based on their performance in the first half of the season, and other teams behind us losing. Nothing we have done since the second half landed us in the postseason. 1,000%. I would never say otherwise. We literally lucked into a playoff spot because of the cushion we built up and because the Metropolitan Division absolutely sucked. Absolutely sucked. And it's painful. We limped into the playoffs, and now we're kind of limping through it. I hope something changes at the Rock. I will be there cheering my face off. I'm supposed to be shotgunning with yo, this Natural Canopy. Natural Canopy, what are you emailing me from burner emails, bro? I emailed you back, and then it looks like you emailed me from another email. I don't know what's going on. Natural Canopy. Dire Straits is asking for Woodson's thoughts on the series. Oh, I can't wait to see those. Those are going to be riveting. Woodson, yes, I did predict the Devils would win in 6 games, man, and I also said I will always make my predictions through my New Jersey Devils red-colored glasses, my friends. If I was not a Devils fan, I certainly would have predicted that. But I am a Devils fan, and I'll always pick the boys, and I will not apologize for it. Woodson says we are what I thought we were. I mean, we are. We've so far been what they've showed to be all season long. I can't agree there. I can't disagree there. Dire Straits says, Woodson, enjoy your victory lap. We knew it was coming, but the series isn't over yet. The series is not over yet. Woodson says, I was done with this team after Christmas. I couldn't listen to false hope anymore on here. Man. Natural Canopy, let's go Devils. Mark, I don't see a Metro team getting past Tampa Bay or Florida. How I got here, Jeremy Proper, got to score more than 1 to win. Yeah, you do. We do. But so far, 1 goal is all this team could muster up. Oh, wait, I meant to go back to the scoreboard here. Looks like Ottawa and Toronto are headed for overtime. Yo Holmes says, why are you here, Woodson? You know why he's here, Yo Holmes. He's here to talk shit and say how right he was about how bad the Devils are. Like a lot of these people. It is what it is. Dire Straits, this team has been ass cheek since December. What's it, Toya? Hopeful until the last horn sounds on the season. I am right with you there. I will just hold out hope until there's no hope left, until my dying breath. I will go down with this ship. I already told you guys. I declared my allegiance a long time ago. Woodson will not win until we off some big contracts and get rid of the Hughes brothers. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Chico, this team misses Jack Hughes in the worst way right now. Whatever his faults and weaknesses, I think we were blind to how much he did for this team when he was on the ice. Listen, he was our best goal scorer. Will be our top points guy in many seasons. And in the end, no one can enter the zone the way he does. He just makes it look effortless, just sizzles through the neutral zone, slices through defenders, and makes those clean entries. Those are definitely missed, and overall his presence is missed. Anyone who thinks it wouldn't be missed is kind of crazy. Natural Canopy says it's going 7. I would love to see it. Yo Holmes says, Woodson, please stop embarrassing yourself. Natural Canopy, Nason scores in both games 3 and 4 and wins it in OT in game 6. That is quite the prediction. Quite the prediction. Now I'm trying to catch up again. NJ Fanatic, a lot of trolls in here right now. Are you shocked? Yeah, this chat is getting wild. Wild. Jay says 15% chance Devils win being down 2. I would have thought it was less than that, to be honest. I don't know necessarily where you would pull such a stat, but I would have thought less. John Woodson said, I had to leave the chat when I heard all the crying about Fitz not making win now moves. We could add 3-4 players and still wouldn't be a cup contender. It's lunacy. No, Woodson, you're lunacy. We basically lost a 1-goal game tonight. What would you be saying if the series was tied 1-1? I mean, you're making it sound like we lost 10-0 2 games in a row. What you're saying is lunacy. We could have won tonight's game. It was right there for the taking. I don't know what you're talking about. What would you even be here if the series was 1-1? I'd imagine you wouldn't be. Oleg says HBSC have no business owning a hockey team if they can't part with LTIR money. Oh, I think they certainly can part with LTIR money. There's a very big difference between willing and able. Are they able? Absolutely. Are they willing? No. But two very different things. They certainly have the money to do so if they wanted to. John Woodson, we didn't have the trade value to get that one I'm not saying one magical player, but did we not have the ammo to get Zetterlund? I'm not saying he would make a world of a difference, but in a game like tonight, that could have been a difference at some point. We lost by a goal, essentially. I can't see how, you're making it out to be like the game wasn't even competitive and that blow it all up. And that's with more injuries than we started with. I will die on the hill of my viewpoint of a couple of players could have went a long way. BC, I was there to watch Henrique dispatch the Rangers in 12. It was phenomenal. From what I remember, the intro was totally sick, too, during those playoffs. What a game. What a game that was, knocking the Rangers out and kind of getting some payback for that 1994 Eastern Conference final. Ace hates all my names. Impact forward could have got us in the ozone on the power play with more than 58 seconds left on the power play. We spent half the power play time chasing the puck after turning it over on the blue line. And another very specific part of the game where we missed Jack Hughes because he makes those ozone entries so effortlessly and just whoop. You see him little whoop, little dipsy do, little head fake, a little cutback. He enters the zone so beautifully, and when it's not there, it is a big loss, and you see it a lot. Some of our entries are super sloppy. We waste lots of time. They circle back, they pass back. It's problematic, and when you lose your best player up front, that's going to happen. Stanley, Ace, use your influence to get our imbecile GM fired. If there was ever a game that exemplifies how awful he is, it was tonight's game. I want the team to win in spite of this mofo. What influence do you? I have no influence. None whatsoever. The only influence I have is for people that are bored at their house to watch a show. But that's not influence, and certainly nothing remote, to get someone fired. I wouldn't even, listen. I don't like to live in negativity. Do I believe he's made some egregious mistakes and non-moves that should cost him his job? Absolutely. But if you think I have any sort of influence in anything like this, you guys are nuts. Devin says, agree, Samuel. If we get past the Canes, we have a real chance. Jerry says, old hockey, no two-line pass, clutch and grab nonsense, players water skiing on each other. I'm old myself, but even I see that old hockey was boring. Was it, though? Was it? I'll always take the old school game. I like the current game, too, but it's very different. How I got here, Jeremy Proper. Hits lead to turnovers. Turnovers lead to goals. Yeah, hopefully we get some more of that in Game 3. Winning Game 3 would just be a nice boost to the team. And obviously for the fan base morale, right? I mean, I'd be super ecstatic to witness a Game 3 victory at the Rock. Will it make a difference in the overall series? Maybe, maybe not. But it would be nice to win a game and have a chance to tie it up in Game 4. We're going to find out now what this team is really made of when they come back home. Tasha says this was Cotter's second playoff game tonight. He's still getting the hang of it. Chico, Nico, and Bratt both make less than Timomeier and both score more. In the regular season, night in and night out, and in the big moments, you're grasping for straws right now. I'm grasping for nothing. His deal was most recent. Every contract that's signed, as the cap goes up and later, the contracts just keep going up and up. What are you going to say when Luke Hughes signs for more than Timomeier, Chico? What are you going to say then? Where's Luke Hughes' 80-point season when if he gets paid $9 million? What are you going to say then? It's just a function of the contract being signed later. Now the dollars are higher. Jason knows that this team needs a complete overhaul. Woodson, we suck at transition because the other teams took away our space smart coaches. Tasha says Mercer needs to step it up. Devil Heaven, good night. Devils fans, game 3 ahead. Let's get our towels ready. My towel's ready, but I might be crying in it. Honestly, more so than anything else. I mean, wow. What a start to the postseason. NJ Fanatic, fire Fitz and get Lou back. In Lou we trust. Oh, man. Drafting has been mediocre as well. I think mediocre might be a compliment, honestly. Again, I hate to harp on negativity and such, but the reality is, Holtz at number 7 is a tragedy. And even if Nemitz pans out to be very good, in the end, there was way better options with that number 2 pick. So it's hard for me. You're talking about a number 2 and a number 7 overall that were just kind of squandered. Or not squandered, but totally misused. Trevor says, this is the blueprint for the first round. Lose the first 2 games and punch him in the mouth. If only it was that easy. Richard, vocal high-scoring cup winners wouldn't put up with this shit. A la Marchand, Bennett as examples. Our guys seem so freaking stoic. No alphas getting in teammates' grills. Yeah, I think that's also a function of kind of this modern athlete and the modern NHL players. I'm obviously a fan of those fiery veteran type guys. I love to see guys yelling at other teammates and like, get your shit together. I do think not all teams and all players are sort of, able to handle that sort of thing. And I think going back to the JT Miller trade, I think that was a lot of more things are coming out. I got to read it. I saw some of the headlines. But I think more and more stories are kind of coming out in regards to the origin of the kind of beef between JT Miller and Pettersson in Vancouver, which ultimately led to JT Miller getting traded to the Rangers. I think it kind of stems from something like that. Miller being an old school dog who is going to say something when he thinks something needs to be said. Celluloid therapy. TF had a chance to fix his club in the last offseason. He failed. How many wasted seasons are acceptable? To me, that all the wasted seasons have been used up. But that's, the standards for Fitz's bosses are different. Very different. Jason says 22-23 was supposed to be the step forward. It was the step forward. And then it's been nothing but misery since. What channel is this game on? ESPN2? Leafs Senators? Tasha, waiting for the classic Leafs choke to absolutely kill my bracket. I picked the Sens. Obviously, they're in trouble right now. They have to win this game. If they go down 0-2, it's not going to be good. But, oh, no. Why doesn't this shit work on my ESPN app? I hate all this stuff, guys. I can never find anything. Everything is always difficult to find. It's like a million apps to find stuff. Yeah, why isn't this showing me the... I don't want game 1. Is this not on Fubo? Yeah, nothing for nothing. I mean, they make it so hard to watch hockey these days. Like, how are you going to grow the sport when the average person can't even find it? I got it. Chico says, I say put Casey in the need scoring the worst way, even if he's just lucky it's been going in the net. I'm not totally against that. I'm a big Casey guy, and for a team that has struggled to score goals, it seems like what would be a fairly kind of a no-brainer, right? Like, we can't score goals. This kid brings offense. Maybe we should try it out. Curious to see if they make that change for game 3. Woodson says, trade Luke for offense while his value is high before he shows he gets hurt every year like his brother. Like, this is where I just write Woodson off. Like, if you don't comprehend that the ownership group is all in on the Hughes brothers, like, I can't waste my time talking about nonsense like this. This is complete nonsense. That's clearly not happening. Despite you wanting it to happen or not, it is not an option for this team. And if you have half a brain, you would realize that. And you also would not waste time talking about it. Hockey trade Nico for Quinn? Absolutely not. That would be absurd. Totally absurd. FGHY8. Have Jack stay out until January, lift weights for a few months, then join the team after the inevitable calendar year change slump begins. Yeah, but then we may not have the cushion to get into the playoffs again. We need the strong start. Sherry Ace, you're totally maintaining our sanity and maintaining our level-headedness. Oh, boy. A lot of you guys are in trouble then. Stanley Ace, the rebuilds have failed. For this team to be where it is today with this preseason roster after all the high-round picks and draft fortune, it's nothing short of malpractice. Stanley, you're preaching to the choir, bud. I completely agree. Just the Nemitz and, in my opinion, the Nemitz and Holtz picks alone, had those picks been used wisely, we're in a totally different, everything looks different. Dude, how do I get these closed captions off? I hate all this stuff, guys. Like, who watches? Do you weirdos use closed captions? Subtitles, whatever they call it? Who watches things with subtitles? I feel like all the young generation, they watch shit with subtitles. I can't stand it. I turn it off immediately. I got it on my phone here, propped up on the thing. Next to the computer screen, Senators, Maple Leafs. I lost my train of thought here. But, oh, yeah, Stanley, completely agree. With all of the draft fortune and the high picks and everything else, the team should be in a much better position than they are. And going back to the Nemitz and Holtz picks, I think, one of those picks should have been traded for a known commodity, an immediate help kind of player. But if you were to draft with it, the Nemitz pick, Cooley and Shane Wright were both there. Would have been great additions to have on this team. They'd be helping us win games right now, possibly winning series right now, where Nemitz only even got into the series because of multiple injuries. And so, yeah, Nemitz might be a good player down the line, but in the end, Shane Wright or Logan Cooley are helping this team in this series in a big way right now. And, the Holtz pick, I think everyone points to, Marco Rossi. Oh, man, nice hit there. Or that one could have been traded for immediate help as well. And so it's hard for me to not be furious because those two misfires right there alone are huge. And then you could layer on all the other things on top of it. But just those two alone are huge. Jason says, I don't trust Fitz to overhaul this roster. I mean, I thought he did a pretty good job last offseason. I think that's where he maneuvers. But the in-season moves, by and large, are pretty much non-existent or completely underwhelming. Obviously, last season, we were drowning with terrible goaltending. The whole world knew it. We didn't get a goalie. And then we get two on deadline day when it was too late. Jake Allen and Kakinen. And this year it was, we need some forward help. That was evident all season. And we got Glass and Sprong on deadline day. So here we are. BC Fitz definitely cannot manage a Petco. He could be hired to clean up dog urine or excrement in the aisles. That he could do, but anything more would be too much for him. I think that's a little dramatic. But I'm no fan just because I do believe this team should be much further ahead than they are now. With all of the things that did go right for us. It's really unfortunate that we are, in my opinion, multiple steps behind where we were after that 22-23 season. Devil Heaven says 90s music was next to awful other than Go Smack Later. But 90s music was awesome. What are you talking about? 90s was peak everything. Movies, music, television shows. Everything in the 90s was the best. Peak human civilization occurred in the 90s. Ride and respect. The shorthanded goal is a disgrace. Completely agree. Can't let that happen. What a dagger. Sherry, my son Drew and I went to Woodstock. Nice. 99. He was 8. We left right before Limp Bizkit came on, thankfully. Is that when the whole place got destroyed? I remember during COVID watching the documentary when shit went awry. Did they burn it down too? I forget. I know there was mass destruction there. LJ says same thing. If you don't use the LTIR money, then make an auto move. Completely agree. There was no reason to not. Zetterland, I thought, was a perfectly sensible move for the Devils to make. Alex says we win the next 4. I would love to see it. Yeah, somehow I've fallen behind again. Chico says to Woodson, experience comment, win or lose, there's absolutely value in this playoff series. There's value in even just making the playoffs. It's not a young team, but they're young and experienced. I agree, but Woodson's one of these tanking people. It makes me sick. Turns my stomach. BC, I saw Limp Bizkit in 2000 at K-Rock's dysfunctional family picnic at PNC Art Center. STP stole the show that night, though. Oh, man. Did they play Interstate Love Song? They must have played Interstate Love Song. John Woodson, ask yourself that playoff value, Chico, and we have no draft capital to make a big deadline deal in the upcoming years. Well, what Woodson? What has Fitz done that makes you believe he even has it in him to make a big deadline deal, even if he had draft capital? I ask you that question. Rich Smalls, Ace, will you be at the game on Friday? I will be at the game on Friday. Trevor, our power play is trash right now, and their PK, unfortunately, very good. We're losing special teams, and we're down bad. Dire Straits says, I feel the team is so far removed from what I liked about them as a kid. It's disheartening. Well, outside of them being consistently competitive, I'm curious what else you're talking about. But, the dynasty years, everyone's tired of the old timers like myself talking about it. But it was really just a completely different world. Sherry says, Brandon, I don't think so. I don't know what this is in response to here. I've lost control. Oh, man, there it is. Domi? Oh, man. Well, I picked Ottawa for the upset. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Wow. Toronto going crazy. Toronto going absolutely bedlam. I don't think so. I work for RWJ Barnabas Health, and we don't operate that way. I heard they're not just any cancer center. They're something designated one. Stanley says, BC 2000 era STP put on a hell of a show. They may have started 3 hours late, but still hell of a show. I love PNC. What a great venue. Man, sucks to be Ottawa, but, you know, we're in the same boat as them now. Going home in an 0-2 hole. Trevor says, if the Devils tampering, bet your ass would be penalized. Oh, there's definitely a double standard. Woodson says, if the series was tied 1-1, we would still lose in 5. I mean, come on, man. Like, do you believe this shit, really? If we tied it up tonight, you would say, you would, after the game, you'd be like, Devils lose in 5. I understand the roster is not great, dude. I agree. But we have Markey. And we still have some decent high-end talent. But it's, you know, it's been a rough go. Eric Jr., 19-4-1. We score first on the road in 24-25. 16-0-1 when we lead after the first period of the season. Look at us losing. Unlucky. Simply unlucky we played our asses out today. Close but no cigar, guys. Close but no cigar. Mark, a lot of people are bringing this up. Silver lining. Rags smoked us in the first 2 games in 22-23. Unfortunately, that was at home, and we're ass at home. I also said, though, now the reality is that 22-23 Devils team is much better than this team. I mean, there's on paper, I thought this team was going to be better. The reality is, don't forget that 22-23 team rattled off a 13-game heater, 13 consecutive wins. This team could not win 4, and they had multiple 3-game winning streaks and fell short in game 4 every single time. And so to compare a team that had a max winning streak, this current team of 3, a max winning streak of 3 versus that 22-23 team that set the franchise record in points and had a 13-game heater, clearly that team was better than this team. And I will say that Rangers team was flawed. I do believe the Hurricanes team we're playing now is better than that Rangers team. And so I do get the point, Mark, about using, you know, down 2-0. But I do think that Devils team was better than this Devils team, and I think this Hurricanes team we're going up against is better than that Rangers team. And so for that reason, it's hard for me to find much kind of solace or comfort in that point, but it's never over until it's over. You got to win 4 games. Anything could happen. Listen, I've seen a lot in sports history and obviously with hockey, but this team, given the way the season went, specifically the end of the season heading into the playoffs, it doesn't exactly instill confidence and the warm fuzzies for me. Cody Skills, Brett Pesce was a dog tonight. Absolutely. Multiple big saves, blocking shots. Jay Snow, we need a center and a top winger. Well, we need a whole lot, man. But I agree with that. The top 6 experiments did not work. We signed Tuna. That was our last kind of our last free agent spend, hoping that he could refine some of that magic from the 22-23 season. It did not pan out. And here we are, guys. I mean, it is what it is. Fitz has his work cut out from this summer. We need some improvements throughout the lineup. And here we are. I could turn this off now. I don't have to watch this coverage. Cody Skills must win both at home. Probably not going to happen. It would be amazing if it did. You know, I'm just living in fantasy worlds. Winning both of those games at home would be amazing. Woodson, we need 2 centers, a top winger, and a whole new bottom 6. That's probably accurate. Woodson, I'm curious. What are your thoughts on Glass? Would you want Glass back? Derek, if Quinn is to come to New Jersey, Casey and Hamilton would be going the other way, right? I'd imagine if there was a trade, and I'm not saying that I think there's going to be a trade, but if there was, I'd imagine Dougie would be a piece the Devils try to send the other way, and I'd imagine the Canucks would demand either Seamus, Casey, or Nemitz as part of the package. And I believe they're going to want a lot more, which is why I'm not really a fan of looking to trade for him, and I would rather get him in free agency if they were to make a move for him. LJ says, reminder that Zetterlund was acquired for 2 players with a combined 1 point and a second-round pick. It's wild. Jay Snow, I want a real 3C. Woodson, why would Zetterlund want to come back to the team that got rid of him? Well, this is the NHL. He was an employee of the Sharks. He would not have had a choice in the matter. And in the end, do you think he cares? You don't think he would have gladly came back to New Jersey instead of staying on a San Jose team that's going to be in a rebuild for a while and a chance to play in the playoffs? I'm pretty sure he would have welcomed it. Sherry says we have to win game 3. Completely agree. Obviously, going down 0-3, it's pretty bad. Bonzo says, I'm at the age where I don't know I'll be alive in 2 years. Get Quinn now. The issue with it is I think the Canucks are still going to want a huge haul for him, and I think other teams would pay a lot more than I think the Devils should be willing to pay, knowing that you could get him in 2 years for free. Woodson, Plot isn't going anywhere. We have very little to buy him out and drag out a cap hit for 4 years. Yeah, I've said the same thing. I think in the end, when you're paying the penalty to then have to replace the spot, it seems like he's going to be here. Allison, I've spent the night on social media, and I can't believe how many people in this fan base still want to defend Fitz. Watch any other playoff team and then try to defend this roster construction. Tell me, Allison, by any chance, are you talking about on the platform known as X, where there is hundreds and thousands of hockey experts, so-called experts? Cristiano. The poor drafting is what ultimately end Fitz's era. I don't really. I think he might be bulletproof. I don't know. I don't really know. Stanley says, Allison, those are the fans that eat paint chips. There's tons of them out there. Chico says, if Luke Hughes gets Dougie Hamilton money, then that comes with Dougie Hamilton expectations. Well, so I'm curious. If Luke ends up getting paid more than Timo, which is a very good possibility, but if not, he'll be paid very similar to him. What are your expectations points-wise? Because that's the only marker we're using now. Everyone wants to use points. So tell me, Chico, if Luke signs for around $8 million, what are you expecting out of him points-wise for next season? And give me a marker where if he doesn't reach that points level, you'll be talking shit the way you are about Timo. I need to know. Luke also comes up big in the big moments. What big moments? Were you talking about regular season games? Please tell me what you're talking about. John Wooden says, Luke will get Dougie money. Quinn will be here. You'll have 1/4 of the team's cap and 3 players who will all be injured when the playoffs start, but that's what everyone wants. I never said that's what I want. I just am relaying and kind of painting the picture for what has been laid out. The writing is on the wall. I would not want to pay Quinn what it would cost, even if he signs a team friendly. I would rather spend the money up front. Carson, Tampa is my Stanley Cup final runner-up pick, and they're getting routed by Florida in their barn. When do brackets close again? I think they already did. What's going on, Selected Boy? Carson says also Marner is a name, but I don't want him. I don't want Marner. He's going to make a ton of money, and I need more of a scrappy type forward for my money. Is he a super good, is he a very good player with high-end skill and talent? Absolutely, but I think he's a little soft, and I don't think this team needs any more of those types of players. I want some dogs. Dogs. Chico says I have to pay for like 3 different services just to watch the Devils. I'm about ready to say F it and just pirate every game next season. Isn't it annoying They make it so hard to watch hockey in the leagues. Like, we want to grow the sport. Well, how about you just make it easy for people to find the games? I got this revolutionary, groundbreaking idea, guys. Put the shit on regular channels where people could find it. And you don't need 27 different streaming apps to watch a game. How about that? Let's talk about marketing this beautiful game. It's just crazy for, they take the money and then they, oh, we got to grow the game, this and that. Well, it's like, don't sell out to every streaming provider that comes along trying to cut a check. Brandon, it's easier to pirate than it is actually to pay for a service that has all the games you want to watch. Terrible. Ryan and Respect agreed. They do make it so hard to watch for not only the average person, but for serious fans as well. Yeah, it's a super annoying. Super, super annoying. Joseph said, where'd Will go? Is it past the Trolls' bedtime? Selected Boy, looks like the Panthers were fully healthy after all. Jay, streaming has completely disrupted and fragmented the media landscape. All the cable and cord cutting really made a huge difference. Oh, it's a whole new world we're living in now. It is a whole new world. It's so different from back in the day. I would have never imagined there was these things called apps and people you're doing on your phone. It is pretty crazy. Faye says, Woodson, I think everyone knows ownership doesn't care about the Devils organization. Selected Boy. That's never, no one's trading Luke for the people that talk about these nonsensical things. It's just crazy. There's obviously not going to be a Luke for Quinn trade. It just makes no sense. Woodson sees injustice being done and he says something. See something, say something. He's just doing his due diligence. Many fans won't. His due diligence of what exactly, though? Joe Mama, trading Blackwood was a head scratcher too. So this is one people have been bringing up recently. This I think is revisionist history. I do think the organization was super fair and patient with him. He just wasn't getting it to get. He wasn't putting it all together. While he was a New Jersey Devil. And so I do think it is unfair to use that as a deal or a moment to kind of go at Fitz for, because in the end, they were patient. Blackwood had tons of injuries. He showed flashes of brilliance. Then he was inconsistent. And in the end, it's not like he left the Devils and became this much better player overnight. I mean, he was in San Jose for a little while, and that's kind of where he developed into the player he is now. He always showed signs of that as a Devil, but he couldn't consistently bring it. And he got better in San Jose, and now he's on a juggernaut team in Colorado, and I do believe he will eventually win a cup there. But I can't use revisionist history and kill Fitz for that one, because at the time I thought the organization was more than patient with him, and it just seemed like he was never going to pan out into what we were hoping. Carson, Blackwood is a stud on an actually good team, cup-winning goalie in my bracket. Yeah. Woodson, I don't even know how a fan could watch the Devils the past 2 years and have hope that we will win even one playoff round. Come on, man. Chico, I can't watch sports with subtitles, but I can't watch movies or TV shows without them. The audio engineers must think we're all fruit bats or some shit because they make everyone whisper. Oh, I can't. Dude, you guys are all subtitle people. Now I know. Can't sleep mini pizza, love subtitles. Oh my God. Jason said hated the Nemitz pick, would have never picked a D-man. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I can't pick a defenseman number 2 overall. I'm sorry. I don't care how good he is, how good he looks on film, what people are saying about him. In the end, a defenseman at number 2 seems nutso to me. Matt M, losing Wood, McLeod, and Sharon Govich hurt this team. Haven't drafted enough offensive talent. In the end, I mean, Sharon Govich, underwhelming season. He did well last year, looked like he had a breakout year. Then he got paid, and then he sucked. So in the end, if you're being realistic now, Sharon Govich at, I think he makes like $5.75 million or something. I mean, that's a horrible value. And wasn't Wood hurt like constantly still? What did Wood do this season? Eight points in 37 games. I mean, Bonzo says Miles Wood sucks. Chico, Devils passed on Stankoven for Chase Stillman in the first round. Stillman was projected to go in the third or fourth round. Yeah, why did they reach so much for him? Yeah, Stillman, terrible pick. Trevor, ace. Oh, boy. How many goals do we score in game 3? I am going to go with... I'm going to go with 3. 3 goals in game 3. I would love to see a repeat of game 3 of the 2023 series where we exploded for 8, but I just don't see it happening. I think we get 3 goals and win a 3-1 or 3-2 game. Maybe that's hopeful, but Kane the Great says, put Sprong back in next game. He can carry the puck in. Tired of the dump-ins. Joseph said, I think Carolina trolls come into NJ chats and realize they're outmatched and shit talking. Chico, oh yeah, we're behind again. 90s music was awful. What? Even if you just take rap alone, it's an insane decade. So many great, so much great music in the 90s. Woodson, you're an idiot. Tanking is never smart. We could have won the game tonight. The series could have been 1-1. I don't understand why you just like to pound your chest and talk nonsense. It wasn't that there's 0 chance to win a playoff round. You're just saying that. There's no 0 chance based on what? We could have won the game tonight. I don't even know where you're coming up with this. Woodson, how about, why wouldn't he have made a deal in January? Are you going to defend that too? Why not make a deal in January when the team was clearly struggling? Ted says Devils will win game 3 this Friday. I guarantee it. Joe Namath. Carson, imagine letting a team take their first 2-0 lead since 2002. Brutal sense. Oh, man, Toronto's probably a crazy city to be in tonight. I can't imagine what the streets of Toronto look like. If you use a dog analogy for these playoffs, the Devils are Yorkshire Terriers surrounded by German Shepherds. Oh, boy. Remember the band Prodigy? Did they sing that song Firestarter? That was Prodigy, right? Stanley, why does Boozeface have a job? It pains me greatly that someone who couldn't manage a yard sale is setting the franchise back years. We don't deserve this. Oh, man. First it was a Petco. Now it's a yard sale. Fitz will have nothing to work with after we overpay Luke. I mean, what are you going to do? He's going to get that money. Art says, in Fitz, we don't trust. It was fire starter. Okay, Maria, that's what I thought. Richard Tompkins, these losses are just setting us up for the comeback. Devils in 6. Oh, man. If the Devils ever won this series in 6, people better go into hiding. I would be coming for blood. Absolute blood I will be coming for. We almost have to bring Glass back because we won't be able to find enough players with a pulse to fill our bottom 6. Carson, I'm starting to think Ace's Devils and 6 picks was maybe just a little biased. I said it when I made the pick. I completely said it when I made the pick. There's no shame in my game. Bonzo said Luke and Dylan must play regardless of injury. I mean, if it's something serious, they're definitely not going to play. Chico says on Quinn, wait until free agency. It makes 0 sense to trade for him now. It's like when the Knicks traded for Melo instead of just signing him in the offseason. I mean, I would be willing to pay something to have him sooner, but nothing extravagant like I believe it would take, which is why, again, I'm not one of these people, waving the pom-poms that we must get Quinn. But if the Devils do want to get Quinn, then they should just wait till he doesn't cost any assets. Unless you could move Dougie and maybe some other problematic type players in the deal. Yes, they played Interstate Love Song. The place went nuts, though, when they played down. Nice. Jeff, the only way I see a trade for Quinn instead of just outright signing him is if HBSC wants to start the cash cow marketing campaign early. Money seems to get their interest. I mean, the amount of Hughes Brothers merchandise you would see would just be on another level. Jason said, I think Luke gets 8.5, no more. My prediction for him was 7 to 8 million months ago. I'm hoping it's, somewhere in that range. Would be considered somewhat team friendly for sure. Art's at 8.5 million for what? Are you out of your mind? No, there's a very real chance that he gets that or more, Art. You're obviously out of touch with what the comparables for a Luke Hughes contract are, but he very well may get even around $9 million. Chico, for me, there's a big difference between 8 and 9 million per, but let's say Luke gets 8 by 8. The expectation for me would be 40 to 50 points with the odd pop-off year like Dougie has had. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure, assuming he even plays anywhere near 75-ish games, 70, 75 games, I think 40 points is pretty much a guarantee for him, especially if Dougie's not here. Well, even if Dougie's here, he's going to get a good amount of power play time. So I think, slightly, I would say that that's slightly less of a kind of bar than you're setting for Timo. You never actually said what the bar for Timo is, but I'm thinking it's like probably with you 75 points. Chico says if Luke Hughes signs 8 by 8 and the next season has like 31 points, you'll 100% hear about it from me. I just think he's too good of a skater with too many tools in the kit to ever, outside of obviously an injury shortened season. I think he'll always finish with 40 points as like a floor, and getting power play time. He's just too good. John faces 8x8 and you want him to put up 31 points. No, he wants 40 to 50. He said 31 points would be a disappointment. Max says maybe bridge deal Luke. It won't happen because you're trying to go for all the Hughes brothers, but it would make sense. I can't see his agent. I just think they're going to want the long-term money now. Jeff says Luke gets 9.5 times 8. Oh God, def overpay now, but he may grow it into years 4 to 8. Oh, I agree with that, but that's I would say a nice, sizable overpay up front, and that's also not being team friendly if he's trying to get his big brother Quinn here as well. Everyone's going to have to leave some meat on that bone, as Fitzy says. You can't want every penny from the organization. 9.5 times 8. If that's the deal, people are going to lose their shit. I wouldn't be that crazy. I wouldn't go crazy about it because I'm kind of expecting that, at the high end. But I think someone just reacted pretty violently when someone said 8.5 million. So I do think there's a good amount of fans out there that don't really understand the inner workings of this kind of contract game we're in now, where guys get paid and the GMs are hoping that later on in the deal that it ends up being like a relatively good value. I think if Luke signs for 9.5, some people that are just not in the know, their jaws are going to hit the floor. They're going to be like, what? Yeah, Jeff Sanderson, Faber, et cetera, money plus cap going up, all factored in. Absolutely. The comps are out there. The cap is going up. If he wants to play hardball, the money could be pretty big. Face it, how much are you expecting from Luke if he does sign 8x8, Chico? He said 40 to 50 points with the occasional pop-off season. Chico. Welcome to my life, Chico. John faces 8x8. I'd expect more than 50. I'd probably say 55, 20 goals, and the rest are assists. Oh, God. Now you guys are getting specific with the breakdown of the points. Wow. Brandon, Tom Fitz has ruined this team. Can't get reinforcements. Resigns bad players. Does nothing for the team. I just see a world where free agents will pick this. I guess you're probably trying to say I don't see a world where free agents will pick this organization versus others. Chico's melting down. I understood what you said, Chico. It was very clear to me. Brandon Lewis, Winnipeg Tourism bot here. Sorry about the Devils' loss. Don Cherry always said a series never officially starts until you play another team's building game 3. Long ways to go. Gonna need to see a much better team at home. BC says Fitz has his job as long as he wants because our owners could care less. They have 30 plus other sports teams they're more concerned about. Colby, Olmark's playoff abilities are worse than my abilities to talk to women. What did he give up? 3 tonight? I mean, listen, he had a decent regular season. Listen, he got the Senators to the playoffs. A lot of people attacked me when I said I didn't want Olmark before we got Markey. I thought it was a very kind of risky maneuver to get Olmark. He got paid a good amount of money. Let me just double check. I forget exactly what it landed at. But I knew the kind of contract he was looking for. Yeah, he got a 4-year, $33 million deal, an $8.25 million cap hit. I mean, is it the worst deal in the league? Absolutely not. But I thought it was a lot of money to gamble Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no. Okay, so he had 1 year left. So the next 4 years are 8.25 million. His cap hit is 5 million this year. I thought it was a lot to gamble on a guy who kind of choked in the playoffs. But it still may pan out for the Senators. I mean, listen, their main priority was getting back to the playoffs, keeping Brady happy, trying to keep him there long term, and making the playoffs is going to do a lot to, appeal to him. Now, they might end up getting smoked by Toronto. I don't know if that's going to, sour Brady or whatever. But in the end, their fans have to be jacked up. They made the playoffs for the first time in forever. Just as soon as Blackwood gets hurt again, everyone will say, thank God we got rid of him. Brandon Lewis has entered the chat, the pride of Winnipeg. John Fay, who the hell likes subtitles? Crazy people, right? I can't believe people watch shit with subtitles on. It drives me absolutely nuts. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. Ace hates all my names. If I wanted to watch a movie with subtitles, I'd just read the book if based off one. Mark says, I'm hurting, bro. I'm hurting too. I am hurting too. Max, Ottawa's outplayed the Leafs both games, in my opinion. That series ain't over either. I haven't got to see much of it. I saw that overtime tonight. I picked Ottawa in my bracket. My bracket's going to probably just suck. I suppose. I mean, I didn't pick any crazy teams to go far, I don't think. So we'll see. Each one of Wood, McLeod, and Sharon Govich would replace at least one player in this poopy bottom six. And it's not possible. McLeod, different story because he's out of the league, but Sharon Govich isn't fitting under the cap, and he's a terrible value for what he's making now. John Fay, kind of agree unless the movie's in a different language, then subtitles make sense. Obviously, if the movie's in a different language, then sure. But for a movie where they're speaking English or a show to have subtitles, to me, it drives me crazy. Drives me absolutely crazy. Max says we brought in Sprong to score, not to skate. If he doesn't score, what's the point? I mean, Max, did you really think Sprong was going to come in here and light it up? I'm just curious. Did you really believe that? Why are we arguing with Woodson again? Chico says you tank when you have nothing, no prospects, no good players, nothing. It's not a good way to rebuild. Look at the Sabres. Oh, I'll never deviate from that, Chico. Woodson's one of these tankers. I just can't understand it. Chico, if the Devils lose and the Leafs win, the most annoying people on the planet are going to be all over Keefe all summer. Oh, that's obviously going to be. They're going to be talking about. They're going to be talking about the Keefe curse and how they're so much better without him. That narrative is definitely going to be running wild for sure. It's crazy how many people. I don't know if it's just a Canada thing or just like I don't know what it is, but so many people got kind of involved or had something to say after Keefe made that comment about Kovacevic a few weeks ago. And it became a way bigger story than I ever thought it would have been. My buddy Goody, I guess I don't watch sports enough, but I don't get how we've been able to beat the New York Rangers, a team that always beats the Canes, but we seem to lose to Carolina so much. I hate it. Because transitive properties don't always apply. That happens a lot with fighters, too. It's like fighter A could beat fighter B, and fighter C could beat fighter B, but fighter C can't beat fighter A. Yeah, transitive properties don't necessarily apply, especially in hockey. There's a lot of matchup type things that can make a difference. Doug, they played a great game, but it goes to show if you have lapses in your game, something as small as the first 5 minutes of the second period can cost you the entire game. And what a way to lose. The game-winning goal is a shorty. My God. So, yeah, some of my biggest pet peeves have come to life in this series. I cannot stand too many men on the ice. We saw too many men on the ice in the first game, game one. Too many men on the ice penalty drives me crazy. We got a delay of game penalty in that same game. Mercer flipped it over the glass. Can't stand those penalties. I do believe we probably talked about this, but we must be amongst the league leaders in those. But then I think someone looked it up, and we are about average, which is crazy that so many other teams do it so frequently as well. But too many men, delay a game, and then obviously a shorthanded goal. Oh, my God. Giving up a shorty in a playoff game, in a tie game nonetheless, and the shorty is the go-ahead goal, and then the shorty ends up being the game winner. Dagger in the heart. Dagger in the heart. IDK, Brett Pesce was a beast tonight. I missed him in Carolina. Yeah, he saved 2 goals, blocked some shots, played a lot of minutes. Love me some Brett Pesce. Love the veteran presence on the blue line. Ace hates all my names. Woodson is like my ex-wife, with you on paper, but talks shit about you and secretly doesn't want to be associated with you, always checking out the other team. Oh, man. Uh-oh, Luke's here. Luke, Devils play game 1 like they played tonight. It could be 1-1. Markstrom was really good. One shorty away from being great. I just hope they play this way the rest of the series. Let's go Devils. Yeah, it's really the only thing to give me any sort of optimism or hope for future games is that, they were competitive tonight. But that shorthanded goal really, really is painful. BC says, I see it coming, unfortunately. We lose 3-0 on Friday to a stunned crowd. I certainly hope not. That would be terrible. Selds, Canes podcast for hailing Pesce's game tonight. He's greatly missed in Canes country. I'm sure he is. He's a great defenseman. We're enjoying him here. Wish we had some, some forwards that could score so that his amazing performances like tonight don't go for nothing in a loss. I mean, not that it went for nothing, but it was in a losing effort. It would have been nice if those goals he saved mattered a lot and we won the game. And it's like, wow, Brett Pesce, the hero. Instead, it was like Brett Pesce was our best player in a shitty game we lost. Feels like the Devils build their team by listening to fan reaction on X and Instagram rather than building a legitimate battle-tested team of warriors based on merit. Do you really think that? And if you do, I'm curious, what moves specifically do you think the team did from listening to people on social media? Brandon, Fitz really did Markey a disservice this year. We cannot score goals this year, and Fitz did nothing for him or anyone on the team for that matter. How can anyone recommend anyone to come to this team? Well, I think the proof speaks for itself. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Luke says, Luke goes anything 8 or below Boozeface will get done. Luke goes anything 8 or below Boozeface will get done if his swagger back. They'll say F it. Or then he'll F it up by keeping Palat. I think 8.5 to 9 times 8 years. Yeah, not far from what I originally picked. Carson, why isn't every team joining the LTIR bandwagon? Vegas, Florida. Devils had Jack's cap to use and they never used it. And they also had, I guess, Dougie's at the time. And that's one of the biggest complaints of fans like myself, Carson. Why didn't we use it? You know, Vegas, the Lightning, teams exploit the loophole, activate their guys come playoffs, and have juggernaut teams. But it wasn't in the cards for the Devils, unfortunately. It's one of my biggest complaints. Chico says my bar for Timo is 70 points a season. Had he given us that, the Devils might have had home ice in the series. But just for argument's sake, Chico, you don't think if he played on the right wing and power play one all season that he could have had 17 points more? And you're just going to completely discredit that? Brandon, if Vancouver is smart, they would trade Quinn for at least pieces other than losing him for nothing. Oh, they're definitely not going to lose him for nothing. That would be such a crime. There's no way they're going to let that happen. They're going to deal him for something. The question is, where does he go and for what? But and it doesn't necessarily have to happen this year. It could be next season. We'll see. Max says, why is your bar for Timo 70 points? I'm curious, Max, what would be your bar for Timo? Insane Pollock says, Woodson, go play in traffic. You feel like he needs to have 80 or more. My God. Max says, if he played power play one the whole year, he might have that. Man, you guys really... 80 points? I mean, come on. David, Quinn trade involving multiple teams, yes or no? Dougie for average middle six player plus second. Quinn for Nemo, Casey Mercer, and a first. Oof. So David, I think I personally don't really care to get Quinn Hughes, if I'm being honest. You know, he's a great player in the league. Do I think he could help us win games? Absolutely. Do I think the money could be spent better elsewhere? Yes. And if it were up to me, I would prefer to wait till he was an unrestricted free agent because it wouldn't cost all these assets. With that being said, if you could move pieces that are going to be problematic anyway, and because of Dougie's salary, even though I think Dougie is a contributing player to this team, and I think people that knock him will miss him one day when he's no longer here. If you could move Dougie in the deal, then it definitely becomes more enticing to me to potentially go down the path of trading for Quinn before waiting to sign him in free agency. But I do think it would be a tough pill for me to personally swallow to give up both Nemitz and Casey. Now, if it was only one of them, and while I do like Mercer, and I do think he gets a bad rap with the fan base as well, I do think you could find a guy similar to Mercer in free agency for his $4 million. I do like him as a player. I think he brings hustle, but in the end, do I think we'd be, any sort of devastated without him? No. And could you spend that $4 million to either find a comparable player or potentially put that $4 million towards a better player? I do think that. So I personally would not be devastated about the Mercer loss. You all know how I feel about first round picks. Given the Devils draft history, I would much rather trade them for known commodities than draft with them outside of having a super high first rounder, obviously. So in this particular scenario, I think I'd be on board, but I wouldn't want to part with Nemitz and Casey. I would need to keep one of them. But if we were talking about Nemitz or Casey, one or the other, Mercer in a first and maybe like another low-level prospect, I probably would do it to get Quinn here 2 years sooner. But anything more than that, which I think other teams may offer, I would not be interested, and I would just wait if that's what they want to do. I'm curious what your thought process on that, David, is. But if it does get Dougie out in the deal, which, is kind of a situation tying up a lot of cap dollars, I wouldn't be against it. But I do imagine if they put Quinn on the market, they would get offers that would blow this out of the water, even for a 2-year rental. Insane Pollock, Canucks will ask for Yegorov. He should be literally an untouchable at this point. Max says, ain't no way we can give Yegorov up. He's the future for sure. I love Big Mike. Little college hockey talk. Luke said, Omar shit the bet on the greatest regular season team of all time. Yeah, what are you going to do? BC says, there's no way you trade for Quinn and sell off all your assets. If Fitz does that, I'll stop watching hockey altogether. Joseph Colby gave you a shout out on his Devils Canes playoff preview. AC. He sent me the thing. I've been meaning to watch it. I've just been tied up with so much crap lately. I'm just buried in all types of life things and trying to keep up with emails and all this stuff. It's a lot, but I've been meaning to check it out. Jason, no, Yegorov barely played half a year of college. Beast. He came from Omaha in the USHL and just started dominating at BU for Jay Pandolfo. Love to see it. Stanley says, Khalil, you said Hope Jack hits 70 points. It'd be a miracle if he hit 70 games. Max, as I said last live, Luke and Jack need to chug whole milk this offseason, get some weight. The Vegas game is starting at 11:30, huh? The Art of Pimpin' says, I'm losing my hearing. I'm using my subtitles. Man, I can't do it. I knew a lot of you would be subtitle viewers, especially the younger. I guess I feel like it's very popular with the younger generation. Those same ones that write stupid shit on X. If I'm Jack's trainer, I'm getting him on some test and D-ball ASAP. The old anabolic steroids, eh? Jason, no, I don't know, something about, I guess we need to get Sam Bennett here. The guy's nails in the playoffs. I love Sam Bennett. I think he's going to get paid a fortune and probably an overpayment, and the Devils have no money to do that. Dennis, what were your pros and cons of tonight's game ace? The only pros for me overall is that we were much more competitive and the game was there for the taking. Had we not been caught sleeping on a power play, which is soul crushing, and had we been able to bury some of our many quality chances that we did generate, that we could have won the game. And so if they play that way and can finish some of those chances, that they are capable of winning a game. I mean, the reality is that sadly, the Canes are not this juggernaut, unbeatable team. We just suck. One goal a game for the first two games, you're not going to win games that way. Scoring one goal is not winning you NHL playoff games. So for me, it's just the pro of more competitive game. The game was there for the taking, and we blew it. And the cons would just be the offense being putrid, like many of us saw all season long, and it's just, repeating itself in the playoffs. But it was a closely contested game, and it was right there for the taking. We could have won, but we did not. Watching all these other playoff games and seeing men go to war is something we have lacked for quite some time. To think we are even close to glory is delusion. I don't know how close we are, but I don't think we're as far as everyone may think. I think we could be like 3 to 4 of the right players away. Some of them even being bottom 6 guys. Max is pro. The boys know they can hang with the Canes if they actually work hard for all 60 minutes. Now just put the puck in the net and maybe we get lucky next game. Yeah. It's or not even get lucky. Just don't be so unlucky. Terribly unlucky. Some of those saves Anderson was making, I was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. I think Bastian had a crazy shot too, right? I think that's the one Dana was like, my fist was in the air. My fist was in the air. Max says Keith Slander is the most annoying right now. Our roster is 1/3 AHL players. What do you want him to do about that? I've been saying that for weeks, Max. But who has been able to get more with less? I mean, many other coaches would be like, "What are you kidding me with this? This is not an NHL playoff caliber roster by any stretch." Roman says, "Hey, you flipped on Timo as our highest paid player in the team. This isn't enough. He's a good player to have, but not one to rely on as a 50-point player. He's gotten plenty of ice time and power play time." What you're talking about? 2 games. There's been 2 games, guys. Like, what are we even talking about? I can't. Do I wish he scored tonight? Absolutely. But in the end, I love how a team, the Devils, generate 1 goal per game for 2 playoff games. And then the people want to come with pitchforks for Timo as if he single-handedly lost the game. Yeah, thanks, Natural Canopy. Hit the like. Sherry, I'm so tired. Need sleep. Hate to bail, but thank you, Ace. Let's go, Devils. Thank you, Sherry. Have a good night. Let's go, Devils. Hit the thumbs up, anyone who hasn't done so yet. Colby says, what is this? Zachary Martin from Locked On Canes. What is that? Every pro sports and Power 4 college team has a Locked On. Oh, like they're like a media company, right? My hearing isn't great, and movies today have awful low muffled sound, so I sometimes use subtitles. Damn it. The subtitle army is strong. Super strong. John Face, make sure you got all the booze and alcohol ready for game 3 because win or lose, we will booze our asses like it's the 4th of July. Luke says trading for Quinn only works if it's Hamilton, Plot, and Halla going the other way. Why would they do that? And the Devils need a top 6 scoring winger, a 3C that can play up, and 2 bottom 6 wingers. That definitely, obviously, would not be an acceptable package for the Canucks. Brandon says, as much as I would love Quinn here, we need like 4 or 5 new forwards. Totally agree with that as well. Definitely need a lot of help, especially the bottom 6. And it'd be nice to get a legitimate top 6 guy, but I don't know, what the likelihoods of that is going to be with our cap constraints outside of moving a player that makes a ton of money somewhere else to free up money. And I don't think it's going to happen this particular summer. Now, I could be wrong, but I just don't see it happening. I don't think it's going to happen. And yeah, I think we're going to just see a lot of bottom 6 kind of patchwork, if you will. I was referring to Yegorov. It was awesome. I saw him at BU as well. Vatsy, 625 save percentage to finish the game. Ouch. Darren, big time Canes fan here. I do enjoy coming in and listening to your take on the games. Keep up the good work, buddy. Appreciate that, Darren. How I got here, Jeremy Proper. It's not 1995 and Marty is not in net. Unfortunately, it is neither of those things. I would love for it to be 1995, first and foremost, and I would love for Marty to be in net. Sadly, it is 2025. And the New Jersey Devils right now are in a very, very deep hole to a very, maybe not very good, but a pretty good Carolina team. Max says, if we win game 3, I'll buy a ticket and make the drive from Boston for game 4. Interesting. I could see that, actually. That makes sense, right? The chance to tie it, some excitement. Pistol Pizza, I guess Sheldon Keefe gets a free pass on this show. It's not a blanket immunity free pass, but when you have a handful plus AHL players on your roster all season long and including the playoffs with tons of injuries, Sheldon Keefe is certainly going to get a pass in my book for this season. Absolutely, he will. I think a lot of coaches wouldn't have even gotten this team to the playoffs. Cisco Kid says, Ace, I have subtitles for my subtitles. Oh, boy. Carson says, Max, just hope the Devils don't win. Save money in your time. Oh, boy. Max says, I'm trying to save money for a wedding. I'm really hoping they don't with my wallet. My brain and heart hope they do win. Or just don't get married, Max. I almost did that once. Didn't see it all the way through. Luke, let's hope they get the series turned around Friday. Good night, gentlemen. Let's go Devils. Good night, Luke. Jay Snow, if we only get bottom 6 additions, then this team is completely screwed and they're not going anywhere. Well, what else do you think they're going to get, though? You think a top 6 guy is just going to emerge out of nowhere and we're going to pay him with Monopoly money? The Puck Bunnies don't care about bettering the team if it means having all 3 Pookies, oh boy, on the same team. Forget a 3C or top 6 winger. Owners will get their money regardless with a Quinn pickup. And anyone who aids in that is just as much to blame. I do think a lot of sports teams, including the Devils, have become like marketing gimmicks. I do think they would sell shitloads of Hughes Brothers merchandise for sure. Stanley says, ain't kidding. There's truth to that statement, sadly. Brandon, even from the start of the season, it was clear we didn't have a complete top 6. It was only a matter of time before ours got bad. I do think that this is, call me crazy, and this could be maybe, I don't know, coping or whatever you want to call it. But if the bottom 6 produced something, I think, or somewhat regularly, I do think we could have potentially overcame the lack of that true top 6 winger that we were all wanting. If the bottom 6 could produce any sort of regularity, I think we may have been able to overcome that missing piece in the top 6. But when you have the missing piece in the top 6 and your bottom 6 disappears for the majority of the season, that's too many things at once to overcome. And that's what happened this year. Stanley says, Brandon, unfortunately, dipshit Fitzgerald didn't get the memo. We were playing with fire from the jump. It was. I mean, obviously, he was hoping, then we're going to try Tatar, Palat, Mercer, just keep cycling guys through in the top 6 and hope one of them works out. Max, is the life advice session with Ace, the late night edition. Oh, man. LJ says, Dynasty Devils, we will get you the Cup ×3. Current Devils, we will get you Hughes ×3. Kim, Ace, what do you think needs to be done this offseason for us to make it to the playoffs at least every year? I mean, it comes down to, for me, realistically, I don't think we're going to get the top 6 guy. I do think it starts with really trying to get a bottom 6 that could contribute regularly and have a defined role. And it's going to take a lot of overhaul. It's going to require a lot of guys that are on this team to not be here next year. Max says, F it, call up Hallinan and give him a shot. They didn't really do that. They only did that, what did he get, 2 games in the regular season, I think? I wanted to see him a lot during the regular season, and everybody and their mother got a call up before him. Foote, Bowers, Legary. Yeah, he got 2 games this year. Faith, in your opinion, what are the biggest moves needed to make this offseason? Other than getting healthy, do we need longevity or another weapon up front in the lines? New fan, love your channel. Appreciate that, Faith. Thank you very much. The biggest moves is really, I mean, you can only do so much, right? There is a salary cap. We're not going to have unlimited money to spend. There are pressing, the most pressing need overall is going to be reconstructing that bottom six. You've seen all season long that the third and fourth lines just literally cannot score to save their lives. And in this league, and especially the playoffs, you need a balanced attack with lines 1, 2, 3, 4 that can score goals from time to time. Now, the bottom six is not going to score goals every game, obviously, but you need a bottom six that can score goals from time to time. And this year, the Devils' bottom six essentially was checked out almost all season long. Nightmare fuel stuff. And so the biggest thing that's going to have to happen is a reconstruction of that nearly whole bottom six. I think, Gritsuk should be here next year. That should start in the bottom six. And so there might be only like 2 guys. And I think Glass from this team is brought back next year. But it's going to require getting at a minimum 3 or 4 new guys in those bottom roles that can contribute from time to time, because it really hurt us this year that it did not happen. A bigger need would be a top 6 winger, obviously, but because of the money, without trading Dougie Hamilton or a guy like Palat or somebody else who makes substantial money to free up cap dollars, I think that's going to be something that gets put on the back burner once again, which is unfortunate. But I do think we can kind of withstand that lack of a true top 6 winger that we all desperately wanted if the bottom 6 can contribute from time to time. And this year we had the lack of a top 6 winger and a bottom 6 that didn't score. And so when you look at all that in combination at once, it mixes together to make a painfully bad offense on many nights. And that's what we've seen in games 1 and 2 of this playoff series right now. Honestly, if Vancouver's offer semi-decent, I ship both Hughes there so we can start building a real Warrior team. They have nothing to offer. It's not happening. Jay Snow, you think a bottom 6 is fixing this team? They'll be lucky to make the playoffs. We definitely need another top 6 guy. I just don't think it's going to happen this summer. Obviously, a top 6 guy has been needed, but where's the money coming from? Unless we somehow the only way I think we could even remotely try is in conjunction with a trade to get some salary out of here. If we were to get a top 6 guy, I think it would then require literally signing like a whole bottom 6 of league minimum guys, which would probably end up atrocious as well. Stanley says, jettison the front office. Until that happens, this team will never be a consistent playoff team. And us fans sitting here looking and realizing we're missing a top 6 forward. We all knew that, though. That's no surprise. I'll concede a little and say I think this team looks a lot better with a competent bottom 6, but Fitzgerald will continue to keep choosing the wrong players for this team. That very well could be the reality. That very well could be the reality. Roman Checkmonic, no one cares about bashing if the top 9 had more talent. Even Cotter should not be in the top 9. Probably realistic. But Cotter has that finish. I like what he brings. I would like to have seen him get more opportunity regularly, but I think he's a phenomenal 4th liner at worst case. Anthony Thomas, Ace, are there any forward prospects in our system to be excited about in the next few seasons? Yes, there's several. I'll drop the link in the chat. Lenny Haminaho, I think, is one to be excited about. He looked really good. I've seen him live in prospect camp. I think he's doing well in his overseas leagues. And then we have our Russian import Gritsuk. I will also, then you could just dig deeper and do some research. But I just dropped, who said that? Anthony Thomas. I just dropped 2 links in the chat for elite prospects. Those are the 2 guys I'm the most pumped about that you could go. And if you want to go, do more research on them, look up videos, whatever it is, you could kind of go down the rabbit hole. And actually another one I like a lot too, he's probably not as close to coming to the NHL as the other guys, is is Cam Squires. Bang. I dropped him in the chat there as well. Those are the three that I'm the most excited about. And then in terms of my most overall guy that I'm the most pumped about is a goalie. Did you ask about forward specific? You said forwards. Yeah. Well, I'm going to drop my man Yegorov in there as well. In net, for me, the Devils have struggled with finding a franchise goalie after the great Martin Brodeur. And he's not a forward, but Big Mike Yegorov, I just dropped his page in the chat. I think he's going to be a beast. I think he's going to be the next franchise goalie for the Devils. For sure. I'm super pumped about him. I'm a big goalie guy, and I think he's going to be a difference maker. Nemo screams Vancouver Canuck. Bash has to be the worst player I've ever seen. The day you let Justin Dowling outplay was the day you start working at McDonald's. You guys are brutal. Jason, agree Cotter should be a fourth line guy. Brandon, I think Cotter is amazing. He's just playing with players that suck. Faith, agree completely. Rooting for the Devils from Nashville. Very nice. How did you become a Devils fan in Nashville, Faith? Do we know if Haminaho is coming here, and did Gritsuk ever sign? I don't know what the deal with Haminaho is, and I think they were waiting till the after the season for Gritsuk to sign, but he should definitely be here in camp and more than likely be on this team. Come October. Roman Czechmonic, imagine if you told us in 2018 that we were still waiting for prospects to help us score. Pretty crazy. LeChance is an interesting one, but I think he's going to probably be, maybe he cracks the NHL lineup at some point, but I think he's going to be probably a Utica player. Roman Czechmonic, Yegorov is holding my hope together. Nepo higher. Evan, if you're going to the game Friday, make as much noise as possible. It doesn't look good right now, but you never know. Pack the rock and let's go Devils. There'll never be another Marty, how I got here, Jeremy Proper. Don't be silly, but Yegorov could be a fine player. Max says LeChance hasn't even played yet. He's a fourth liner if I've ever seen one. All right, guys, this is the part where I take a break, use the facility real quick, and I'll start winding it down. Appreciate everyone for coming out. Throw out your final thoughts, comments, questions, suggestions. And I will start winding this thing down. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Throw it all out there, and I'll start winding down when I come back. Be right back. Oh, man, that was a... I'm making my way back. What a night, guys. What a night. What a night. Right. Oh, wow. Stanley, imagine if you told us in 2018 that Bratt would have 2 career playoff goals 7 years later. Yeah, it's underwhelming, but I think what I have a bigger issue with is the fact that this is Bratter and Nico, both of them. Bratt and Nico, 2 of our core players, right? This is their 8th NHL season. They've won 1 single playoff round, that round against the Rangers, and they've won 6, count them, 6 total playoff games. That is absolute nightmare fuel. 8 seasons, you've won a single round in 6 playoff games. And again, this is why I express concerns about Nico's want or desire to sign here long-term when he's eligible after next season. He has 2 more years left on his deal. We could extend him after next season. Why would he want to stick around here? I think it's a real fear. A lot of people have told me I'm crazy for that, but I don't think it's crazy at all. I think if you are in denial about that fact, I think you are, in fact, the crazy one. Faith, went to the Devils versus Preds game back in February. Since the Preds got smoked, I started getting into the Devils. Interesting. Been watching your vids since then. Even flew up to the Rock and went to a game versus Pitt. All of that from the one game, Faith, randomly? Were you a hockey fan before? That's very interesting that you just went to a Devils Predators game. The Preds got smoked, and then you became a fan. I love it. That's awesome. And then you flew up to New Jersey to go to a game at the Rock. Cisco, nighty night. Max says, Faith, love to hear that. Welcome. How I got here, Jeremy Proper says 3-1 win next game. That was the score I was going to go with. Someone asked before how many goals I think the Devils score. I said 3. And I was going to say a 3-1 win. Stanley says, Faith, jump ship while you can. Oh, you're brutal, Stanley. Brutal. Brandon says, Stanley, easily my favorite one here. You make me laugh. Max, let's go Devils. Night all. Keep your heads high until we lose the next one. Oh, boy. Look at Minnesota right now. That is a team playing above their actual talent level and impressing. The Devils don't seem to have that dog in them. Like I said, they are a Yorkshire Terrier. Shout out to former New Jersey Devil and 1995 Stanley Cup champion Bill Guerin. Billy G, what a legend. I feel like he's one that got away. He's turning into a pretty cunning GM, it seems. And yeah, love Billy G. Talk about a warrior, power forward. They don't make him like Billy G anymore. Loved Billy G as a kid. Cisco says, Ace, don't drink too much after you sign off. Kim, Ace, I really like Keefe. Do you think he was the right fit for the Devils? I feel like he gets a bad, I guess that's supposed to say rap. Yeah, was he the best choice? I don't know. But was he a good choice? And do I think he's done a good job? Absolutely. He's been dealt horrible hands with the roster he inherited. The bottom 6 fell off a cliff from last year to this year. And tons of injuries. It's been a super, super hard hand he's been dealt, and he's got this team to the playoffs. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I have no beef with Keefe. No beef with Keefe for Ace. And I do like Keefe. I think a lot of people point the finger at him, and I'm like, well, how are you pointing the finger at him? He's not the one that made this roster. Look elsewhere for that. Stanley 62495. Thank you, Brandon. It would be nice if my wife was as complimentary. Man. He'll get a bad rep here, too, eventually once the fan base completely turns on him. Just give it a year or two. Roman Czechmonic, jury's out on Keefe, but 1-6 in the playoffs might signal an issue there. We did not need that juju. I mean, look at the roster, though. Look at the roster. Gunnar Marks, is there any possibility we could re-sign Dumoulin next year money-wise? He's so much better than Kovacevic or Dillon. I think that's a bit of a stretch. With that being said, I just don't think there's a spot for him. At some point, one of these kids is going to have to be on the team next year. And so you look at, Luke's not obviously going anywhere. Pesci's not going anywhere. Dillon's not going anywhere. Kovacevic isn't going there. That's 4. If Siegenthaler's back, that's 5, right? So now you're talking about 5 of the 6 spots already accounted for. And then you have Shimo Nemitz and Casey in the wings. So outside of one of those guys I just mentioned being traded, where is the spot? Forget the money. Where is the spot? Who are you booting for Dumoulin? It's not happening. And I'm a huge Kovacevic guy. I don't think Dumoulin can do the things he does. Chepahana says Dumo is not better than Kova. Brandon, Keefe deadline was Sprong. Has anyone noticed him yet? Well, Sprong didn't even play tonight, but The Fitz deadline. No, it's underwhelming. That's why I kind of freaked out at the deadline. Sprong and Glass was not what we were hoping for. Roman Checkmon says Fitz has one more offseason before all charitability is gone and he's on the grill. I have a feeling that Bozo's offseason grabbing AHL players. Oh boy. Suck. I just get tired of physically watching this team look like idiots in their own zone. Canes players circling like vultures, and we're babbling and bobbling like we're watching minor league. Yeah, it's painful. It's painful. I feel the pain, man. That Gostisbehere goal was like, how are you not able to make it clear before that? It was just a lot of breakdowns and a lot of looking helpless in our own end. It's true. I can't say that you're wrong. Jay Snow, that stat 8 years is a complete joke. It turns my stomach. 1 playoff round in 6 playoff games. If Nico is smart, he runs to the hills. I fear that he's going to. And a lot of people have told me I was crazy. I don't think it's crazy. Khalil, will the Devils ever be Stanley Cup contenders? I'd imagine at some point they will be. I truly hope so. Now, when will that be? I don't know. I do think they are set up to have a decent, and I hate saying this because they've been saying it for a decade plus. I do think with, the Yegorovs, Salayevs, Gritsu, Kaminaho, there's some other guys as well that they should be a pretty good team in a few years from now, but that shouldn't preclude them from being a good team right now and every year up until then. It is super unfortunate. Hopefully, all the stars align and we could go on a real run, but I do think eventually they will be a Stanley Cup contender. I just don't know, when that's going to be. It should have already been, after that 22-23 season, we should have been right there every season afterwards for a long time. Ben Jamin says, we pick up another Hughes brother. I'm getting a cat's tattoo. Gunner, Hamilton, Dumoulin, Pesci, Casey, Kova, Nemesemich, game 3 pairings. I said Kovacevic and Nemitz. I think I just combined 2. I'm a little delirious. Yeah, Luke Hughes was injured, not in this game. Brendan Dillon, those are 2 of our main defensemen that weren't in the game. And then you still have Casey in the wings as well. Johnny K, it's depressing the insane amount of draft lottery luck we've had. You probably won't ever see that amount of high picks in quick succession in a lifetime again. Fitz pissed it all away. You're not wrong. It's just crazy that, we got 2 number ones, and this wasn't all under Fitzgerald's watch, but he inherited the fruits of this. A number 1 overall in Nico, a number 1 overall in Luke Hughes. Then you get a number 2 and get Nemitz. The number 4 that got us Luke Hughes. Wasted a number 7 overall on Holtz. It's like, you needed to be much further along than we are now. I completely agree, and I don't think we'll ever see that again. 2 number 1s, a number 2, a number 4, and a 7. And it's psychotic stuff. It's psychotic stuff. And in a very short time window. Stanley says, Khalil, possibly. Will we be alive to see it is the question. I'm not even kidding. I agree. No, not at the altar. It's a story for another day. And it didn't get remotely that far, Jay Snow. Stanley, Ace, if it's one thing I disagree with you on, it's dollar bill Garen. F that guy is moping after giving into Lou is burned into my brain for eternity. Never saw a player dog it that hard. I mean, come on, man. We're talking about nearly 30 years ago. The man's a Stanley Cup champion. Stanley says, agreed, Brandon. You can see it in Keefe's eyes. The man is dead inside. Gunner, any chance Casey draws into the lineup for game 3 or 4? Are you taking out Nemitz or Chalowski? I don't know, because if it happens, I don't think you're gonna. Oh, man, let me see something. if they were to do it, it would be in place of Nemitz, because you're just not going to have both of those super inexperienced guys, even though Chalowski is as well, but he's got 156 games played in the league, 156 career games. But Nemitz and Casey are both right-hand shots. Casey has played the left side before, which is even crazier as a young guy. But they're not going to want to – Pesci's already playing offhand, so they're not going to want to have multiple guys playing their offhand. So if Casey was to come in, it would have to be for Nemitz. Brandon, I'd argue this season's deadline is 10 times worse than last season. I'm so shocked more people are not out for Tom Fitz. The smart people are. And I do agree it's 10 times worse this year, because last year we were on the outside of the playoffs looking in, hoping to make some moves to claw our way in, versus this year we were firmly in a spot looking to either improve our spot or hold on to it. So I have to agree that this season was 10 times worse. When you're in a playoff spot, yeah, Jay Snow's adding his own theatrical alternate ending to the movie on that story. But anytime you're in the playoffs, it's obviously worse than if you're on the outside looking in. Check Monix says Casey isn't playing. Nemitz played well, and Chalowski holds up better on defense against the forecheck. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get in either. It is what it is. Nemitz stepped up today. He earned a couple points back in my book. I'm rooting for the kid, obviously. Would love to see him become a staple for this Devils club. But, man, I just can't believe it. The game was so close. The game was so close. It was there for the taking. We just couldn't convert on all those glorious chances we had. And we made Freddie Anderson look like a superstar. Complete superstar. Sucks. They're going to have to get and they scored the first goal too. Another Markstrom good outing. It just hurts on so many levels. There were so many elements of this game that were just squandered. Squandered another good Markey start. We squandered a 1-0 lead. Gave it, the game-winning goal is a shorty. Oh my God, nightmare stuff. A shorty. We lose the game-winning goal is a shorty. Like, come on, man. How do you give up a shorty to lose the game? It really sucks. Stanley says maybe roll Casey as 7D, play some wing and spot the top six. I can't see it. I just think they're going to keep him far away from the series. And in terms of him playing wing, I think that would be a nightmare kind of scenario. Jason, no, listen, the Devils played a good game tonight. Just sucks you score one goal, man. Yeah, 2 games in a row, though. Would have been nice to have some offensive help at the deadline, no? Brandon, good night, everyone. Hating Tom Fitz so much wasn't on my bingo card this year. It wasn't on mine either, but it should have been. After last season, we all should have known. Check Monix, scoring 1 goal isn't a good game when it happens all the time. You're not kidding. What, 9 shutouts this season? My God, shutout 9 times. Lack of finishing all year has been abysmal. Yeah, we made mediocre goaltenders look like all-time legends. All-time legends all season long. 9 times shut out. I'll never understand how you can fix the goaltending and defense, then the offense falls apart. The franchise feels cursed. Of course it does. Last year we were scoring at will. We couldn't keep the puck out of our own net. This year we finally had a good defense and good goaltending, and then we got shut out 9 times and had a tragic offense. You can't. It does feel like a curse. With all the injuries, it really is something. B. Poise says Candy Cane 7, Wimpy Devils 2. I don't even know what that is. Jay Snow, scoring was never the problem. I don't know what happened. Brandon, guaranteed Fitz will fix the forwards, then our goalie and defense will fall apart completely. It better not. I think the defense and goaltending for next year is fairly stable, in my opinion. And hopefully now we could tweak the forward group and figure out a way to be a competitive team. Jay Snow, game 1, we got dominated, but tonight was a tight game. Timo had a wide open cage, just couldn't get the puck flat. What's next year's problems? Yeah, and the other thing about tonight is, our special teams that was good all season long. Top 3 in both penalty kill and power play. just losing the battle. It sucks. I'm not going to be able to go to sleep for a while. I'm going to stew on this one for a little bit here. This was just sucks. We were so close, and coming back home 1-1 would have been something really special. The building would have been bumping. I mean, I think the building's still going to be crazy for the game, but 1-1 is a whole different atmosphere versus 2-0. It's undeniable. Probably injuries again, Jay Snow, if I'm being honest. Oh, boy. Special teams have sucked for sure. Losing on a shorty is unacceptable. You're up and it's crazy. Yeah, last game, game one, we got the too many men on the ice during a power play as well. Like, what are we doing? Have some pride, man. Have some pride. But that's it, guys. This has been a long one. Appreciate everyone for coming out. What a painful night. Our beloved New Jersey Devils. A much more valiant effort, but unfortunately come up short once again, lose in Raleigh 3-1, go down 2-0 in the series, and now have the monumental task ahead of trying to claw back in a series that now shifts to Newark, New Jersey, to the Rock. Can this team win 2 games in a row at the Rock and go back to Raleigh tied at 2? It's a big task ahead. Not impossible. Maybe improbable, but it's not impossible, and I'm going to continue to hope for the best. If the boys played like they did, if they play in game 3 like they did tonight and are actually able to finish on some of these chances, we might make this thing interesting after all. You know, winning game 3 to cut it to 2-1, that game 4 would be pretty interesting. But scoring 1 goal a game is not going to get it done, period. Scoring 1 goal per game in the NHL is not going to win you games, and it's a great way to be on the golf course quickly. And that's it, guys. That's all I got. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. Please hit the thumbs up on your way out. Got some things in the works. I am going to game 3, so there will not be a pregame, but there obviously will be a postgame. I'm sure I'll have a couple videos between now and then. Obviously, I can't leave you guys alone for 2 full days in between the games. So I'll be back, but I'm down in the dumps. Hopefully we could get in the win column during game 3. We need a win so desperately. And I thought at some point tonight, I had a good feeling when we were up 1-0, but couldn't get that second one. Had they gotten a 2-0 lead, I think that would have really taken the crowd out of it entirely, but it never happened. And here we are. But thanks for everyone for coming out. Another painful loss. We live to fight another day. For now, game 3, Friday night at the Rock, hoping to finally get a win. Going to need another team effort. And that's it, guys. I'm bummed. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.